The most unique show in sports.
I'm going to say something now that some may take as a hot take, and I don't really care because I know that I'm right.
A show so staggeringly awesome and unapologetically original, you won't know what hit you.
Do you ever just get down on your knees and thank God that you know me and have access to my dementia?
Featuring the man himself, Nick Kostos.
For anyone else who says, oh, he's exaggerating, he's prisoner of the moment. First off, shut up. This is the National Football League. This is not the Big 12. It's not Pop Warner. An absolute disgrace, an atrocity, an affront. One of the most disgraceful performances that I have ever seen in 35 years watching National Football League football.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry, magnificent Football Monday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this magnificent Football Monday, the world of sports is alive following an unbelievable wild card weekend in the National Football League, and we still got one more game coming up tonight. And over the course of the next 3 hours here on this Monday on Westwood One Sports, we will talk about all the big storylines coming out of wild card weekend and get you, dear listener, you, dear viewer, set to bet and be smart when you speak about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans coming up tonight on Monday Night Football. And among the topics on today's show, I will tell you why the Buffalo Bills, not the New England Patriots, the Patriots are the favorite right now at BetMGM to win the AFC. I'm going to tell you why it needs to be Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills as the favorite to represent the AFC in Super Bowl 60. I'm going to explain to all of you what the Philadelphia Eagles need to do in response to yesterday's embarrassing loss at home to the San Francisco 49ers that ended their season. And I'm going to tell all of you why. And I'm going to say it in such a way that you won't be able to disagree with me. Why the Philadelphia Eagles need to trade A.J. Brown, and they need to do it now. Maybe not like right now during the playoffs, but as soon as they can get A.J. Brown off this team. There's more that the Eagles need to do. We will get to that, and we will praise Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. All the bets for tonight will close the show in the final hour, the Power Hour, and we'll be joined by two tremendous guests. My buddy Dave Damashek from Football America as part of Meadowlark Media. Love Damashek. He will join us next hour on the show to talk his Steelers tonight against the Texans and all things Wild Card Weekend. And in the final hour of the show, one of my buddies in the space, one of the most talented members of the sports betting content space or otherwise, Joe Fortenbaugh, ESPN sports betting analyst. Joe will stop by in the final hour of the show. We're probably going to talk a little professional wrestling, and then 95% of the interview will be about sports and bets for the divisional round and the weekend. But Joe is a man of many talents, and we will speak to Joe about a variety of things coming up in the final hour, the Power Hour of the show. But we officially begin magnificent Football Monday edition of You Better You Bet with this piece of audio from Packers head coach Matt LaFleur following the team's collapse on Saturday night against the Chicago Bears.
Well, obviously, this one is going to hurt for a really, really long time. When you are in complete control of a football game and the script gets flipped in the second half, and it was a lot of self-inflicted things. And give credit to them. We knew they were a team that could come back and fight. I mean, they proved it all season long, and we had opportunities to kind of put them away, and we didn't get it done.
No, they didn't get it done. The Green Bay Packers led 21-3 at halftime on Saturday night in Chicago at Soldier Field against the Bears. The Green Bay Packers led 21-6 at the end of the third quarter on Saturday night in Soldier Field against the Chicago Bears. Final score, Bears 31, Packers 27. One of the biggest choke jobs and collapses that we've seen on Wild Card Weekend, maybe since my New York Football Giants on January 4th, 2003 against the San Francisco 49ers. 38-14 to 39-38. And Matt LaFleur, and I talked about it all day yesterday on the shows that I did on Sunday, on Wild Card Sunday, WFAN at 8 a.m., Westwood One Sports, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. Matt LaFleur authored one of the worst second-half coaching performances that I have ever seen in almost 4 decades watching the National Football League. And I said yesterday, and I tweeted on Saturday night, and I told you in this time slot during the week, last week, that if the Green Bay Packers were to lose, they could very well fire Matt LaFleur. And my opinion yesterday was the Green Bay Packers would fire Matt LaFleur, whether right, wrong, or indifferent. Whether you think it should happen or not, my thought was, he's gone. And then we got the tweet yesterday from ESPN's Adam Schefter in the morning that John Harbaugh looming as the next potential head coach of the Green Bay Packers, and connecting the dots, Harbaugh's connections to the Packers organization and connections to the state of Wisconsin. And it seemed like a fait accompli, a veritable lock, if you will, that Matt LaFleur was going to be out of a job. And now we have a tweet from 20 minutes ago in real time from ESPN's Adam Schefter. And I quote, "The Packers now are expected to try to work out a deal in the coming days to keep head coach Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, per sources." Schefter would add a few minutes later, Matt LaFleur currently has 1 year remaining on his contract, and both sides want clarity moving forward. Now, look, this is like that scene in Anchorman. We love an anchor battle. I love a good insider battle. Tom Pelissero of NFL Media then tweeted, as Ian Rappaport, the NFL Media NFL insider, reported 2 days ago, which is a clear shot at Schefter here, right? The Packers are expected to try and work out a deal to keep Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. Other teams with vacancies are watching closely. LaFleur would immediately become a top candidate for jobs if he becomes available. Now, Schefter did add, and again, the last line of his second tweet is both sides want clarity moving forward. Nothing is a lock. It doesn't have to work. But per Schefter, it feels like there is going to be at least an effort made here by Ed Policy, who is the Packers team president, the son of Carmen Policy, used to run the 49ers, and Brian Gutekunst, the GM, and Matt LaFleur to keep LaFleur in Green Bay with the Packers. And I can't say I disagree with this from a Green Bay Packer perspective. Now, I did say last week that I expected the Packers to move on from LaFleur if they lost the game. But I stopped short of saying that this is what the Packers need to do. I never said that. I did say the Ravens need to fire John Harbaugh if they lose to the Steelers, which they did last Sunday night. They fired John Harbaugh. I did say that the Buffalo Bills need to fire Sean McDermott if they lose in Jacksonville against the Jaguars. They didn't. And they will move on to face the Denver Broncos next week in what should be an awesome game. We'll talk about that later in the show. I never said the Packers should fire Matt LaFleur. I said I think the Packers will fire Matt LaFleur. And that still may happen. It feels like that is very much still a realistic outcome, is the Packers moving on for Matt LaFleur. But it feels like there will at least be a concerted effort to keep Matt LaFleur as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. And I would certainly understand anyone in our listening audience, anyone in our viewing audience right now, youtube.com/@thekostos, our new YouTube page, listening on radio stations nationwide, listening on Sirius XM 375, watching us on Twitch, Odyssey app, Westwood One Sports app. Oh, hell yeah, we're everywhere. I would understand if anyone out there listening or watching wanted or believed that the Packers should fire Matt LaFleur. Because what happened in the second half on Saturday night was as bad as it gets. Like, we can call a spade, and we can be honest. And yes, you can put some blame on the right foot of curtain jerking jabroni slappy kicker Brandon McManus, missing 2 field goals and an extra point in a game the Packers lost by 4. You can put some of the blame on the Packers pass catchers, most notably Jaden Reed for that drop on the final drive of the game for Green Bay, dropping passes, letting Jordan Love down at points during the game. And you can certainly put some blame on the defense for allowing 25 points in the fourth quarter to an offense that up until that point had been impotent. Jeff Hafley, some of the shine off Jeff Hafley a little bit, the Packers defensive coordinator, following that fourth quarter collapse against the Chicago Bears. So yes, McManus, pass catchers, defense, all deserve blame. Matt LaFleur blew the game. Let's be real. Matt LaFleur blew the game. I'm going to paraphrase what Jordan Love said post-game. He didn't say it like this, obviously. But what Jordan Love basically said was, we, meaning the Packers, didn't adjust to the Bears' adjustments in the second half. Because going into halftime, Green Bay had complete control of this game. Up 21-3, looked like the Bears weren't going to be able to stop them the entire game. And then all of a sudden, in the second half, the Bears' defense goes from the 2025 Chicago Bears. They go back in time 40 years. And they're the 85 Chicago Bears. And the Packers can do nothing for the vast majority of the final 30 minutes of this game. Think about this. And I'd love for someone to disagree with this. Dennis Allen, who I think is an excellent defensive coordinator, but a failure as a head coach in the NFL with the Oakland Raiders and the New Orleans Saints. Dennis Allen outcoached Matt LaFleur over the final 30 minutes of this game, and it wasn't even a fair fight. LaFleur never adjusted to the Bears' adjustments. LaFleur was not aggressive enough early and then way too aggressive late instead of bleeding the clock. And his timeout usage. I've said this before, and it's not just LaFleur. Lots of great coaches and bad coaches have this problem. You could take a stoned college sophomore playing Madden with Cheeto dust on his fingers, and that kid could manage the clock and timeouts better than some of these NFL head coaches. Matt LaFleur blew this game for the Green Bay Packers. Full stop, period, end of story. I also don't think the Packers should fire Matt LaFleur. I want to offer some perspective here on LaFleur. And in order to do that, let's go back to the summer. When we're talking about Green Bay, we're getting set for the 2025 NFL season. And what I said about the Green Bay Packers at the time, I don't think they've got the horses to make a legitimate run at the Super Bowl. They don't have enough great players. They have a bunch of good to very good players. Show me the great players. I didn't believe in Green Bay. And then they trade for Micah Parsons. And it changes everything for the Green Bay Packers. Because now you have that gravitational force on the defensive side of the ball. The guy that can go out there and can win you close games. That is built, constructed in a laboratory for moments like what we saw on Saturday night to win the game in a big spot, to sack Caleb Williams, to sack the best quarterbacks, to impact the game in the big spot. Parsons changed everything. And then he tears his ACL in Denver against the Broncos. Think about what I said following that. Cross the Packers off the list. Green Bay can't win. They can't win without Parsons. They don't have enough talent. It's not there. Now, the Packers got to the playoffs, should have won, obviously, on Saturday night against the Bears. Even if they did, it would be a temporary stay of execution because they would have gotten stuffed into a locker by the Seahawks in Seattle next weekend. Still, the Packers should have won that game. But now, as Green Bay heads into next season, obviously you get Micah Parsons back in full health. We'll see if he's ready for week one, when Micah Parsons will be able to come back and play for the Green Bay Packers. But another offseason of loading up for what should be a season with super expectations in 2026. I like the idea of bringing back Matt LaFleur. And just on the John Harbaugh thing with Green Bay. Now, I'm connecting dots when I talk about it, right? Something that I think could happen. Would I fire Matt LaFleur for John Harbaugh? I wouldn't do that. I'm also the guy, and I'm staying consistent, that's telling you as a Giants fan, I'd rather have Kevin Stefanski as my coach than John Harbaugh. So if I'd rather have Kevin Stefanski than John Harbaugh, yeah, I'd rather have Matt LaFleur than John Harbaugh. At least Matt LaFleur calls plays, and he's the offensive mastermind of that operation. I think this is the right move by the Green Bay Packers. I didn't think that this is the direction they'd move in, but do I think the Packers are making the right call by potentially keeping Matt LaFleur and signing him to an extension? I do. And I didn't think it would happen. It is kind of crazy, even with all of that being said, right? And we're doing this in real time, that he might get a multi-year extension following that stinker on Saturday night. I think that the clearer heads are going to prevail here. The cooler heads will prevail. I think it's a really good move by the Green Bay Packers. And now there are a bunch of dominoes that will fall as a result, as it regards the coaching carousel. Now, we don't know that LaFleur's staying in Green Bay. This could still not work out. And if that happens, maybe Matt LaFleur goes to coach the Miami Dolphins, who just hired the Packers vice president of player personnel, John Eric Sullivan, to be their new GM. Maybe he goes to Tennessee to work with Cam Ward. He was the Titans offensive coordinator before becoming the head coach of the Packers. Maybe he goes to Atlanta to work for Matt Ryan, who he used to coach with the Atlanta Falcons. And then maybe John Harbaugh goes to Green Bay. And if that happens, there's a name that I want everybody to think about right now as it regards NFL head coaching vacancies. And this tweet yesterday, I feel like, because there's so much else going on and there was a sick weekend of games and it was great, that this tweet kind of flew a little bit under the radar. NFL media insider Ian Rappaport tweeted yesterday, on Sunday, that Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame head coach, the head coach of Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, who declared a couple weeks ago that he was coming back to Notre Dame and he was not going to coach it, not entertain offers to coach in the National Football League. That Marcus Freeman could be back on the NFL radar. And to me, what that meant, and I have no sourcing here, and I can be wrong about this, was the New York Football Giants, who were reportedly interested in Freeman in the calendar year 2025, thinking that, man, we may not get John Harbaugh now if LaFleur's going to be out in Green Bay. And maybe we should make a renewed pitch for Marcus Freeman. And Marcus Freeman's camp knows that, and they leak, Marcus Freeman's camp leaks, that maybe he's still interested in an effort to drive the price up for him to leave Notre Dame. Because in order for Marcus Freeman to leave Notre Dame, entering a season where they have basically, it has come out that they have basically rigged it with whatever, like the note of memorandum or the note of understanding, whatever the hell it's called, this legalese, this nonsense, that they have basically legally rigged it, that Notre Dame can't miss the playoff anymore. That in order for Marcus Freeman to leave Notre Dame, like you probably have to write him a pretty hefty check. And maybe it happens. We shall see. I think that we are looking at right now, over the course of the next couple weeks, it's possible that it's very calm, right? That the waters are calm. And the Bills keep winning, and McDermott keeps his job. And Matt LaFleur stays, and John Harbaugh just goes to the Giants. It's possible that the waters remain calm. But it's also possible that we get, in a gloriously entertaining way, the most chaotic NFL coaching carousel in recent memory. Look, you get breaking news sometimes on the show, and you got to do it to lead. Was not planning on leading with Matt LaFleur, but we get that news right before we go on the air. We are going to get to all the games from Wild Card Weekend. I got to praise the Chicago Bears. That was going to be part of the Matt LaFleur conversation, was talking Chicago, and then we got this news. I'm going to talk about the Buffalo Bills and their win against the Jacksonville Jaguars and why and how Josh Allen became Superman. We'll get into what was one of the worst broadcasts I've ever seen of an NFL playoff game in that game as well. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Eagles and Niners, Rams over Panthers, Patriots over Chargers, and so much more. On the other side, why the Philadelphia Eagles need to trade A.J. Brown and why they need to do it now. Here on a Monday, you better you bet. Nick Kostos, Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
The thing I am adding to the list this week, Alex, something that's kind of bothered me a lot. And it's a phrase that we use in sports way too often. It's the phrase 110%. Go out there and give it 110%. Go out there and give it your all. You know, you hear it all the time. Give it 110%. First of all, guys, that's mathematically impossible. Unless you're my car's gas gauge that one night in college, like, you're not giving it 110%. The people who say 110% are like the same people that say gazillion, you know, or like the people that say 100 and go out and give it 110%. They're the people in the corporate world that like use words like synergy, right? The people that use the phrase go out and give it 110% probably subscribe to all of David Goggins' podcasts. I just think it is time we lay to rest the give it 110%. All right. Okay. Now, look, let's say hypothetically you could actually give it 110%. We work in sports talk radio. We live on hypotheticals, right? Hypothetically, if 110% is attainable, why stop at 110%? Why not give 150%? Why not give 368%? Why not give 971%? Why are we stopping at 110? Who came up with that number? Just give it 100%. Go all out. You cannot give 110%. And if you can, why aren't you giving more?
Needs 11. Over the middle. Tip. Incomplete. San Francisco takes over. Looking to take away the upset.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady with the call yesterday on Fox. What a hideous loss by the Philadelphia Eagles. An embarrassing end to their quest to repeat as Super Bowl champions, and a sterling, stellar, spectacular win for the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. Unbelievable stuff. What a sporting event yesterday in Philadelphia. And we'll break that game down coming up in just a moment. But didn't get the chance to do this in the opening segment because of the breaking news. And again, Packers trying to work out an extension to keep Matt LaFleur as the head coach moving forward in Green Bay. I told you why I think that's the right decision for the Packers to make. Not a lock that it happened. Still think he could end up elsewhere. But that seems to be the direction that things are trending towards right now, if you believe the reports from various NFL insiders. But I told you last week that heading into today, Monday, January 12th, this show would have one sole home on YouTube. We had multiple last week on the old BetMGM network page. That network no longer exists. The sole home to watch the show on YouTube right now, youtube.com/@thekostos, youtube.com/@THEKOSTOS. And the chat was supremely active last week, and we love all the comments that we get in the YouTube chat. Want to read a couple now off the opening segments on the Packers-Bears game and the Matt LaFleur news. Our friend Derek Wagner. Imagine what happens when Dennis Allen, the Bears defensive coordinator, gets a pass rusher next year to come after the quarterback. Matt LaFleur is going to be in trouble. Tough to disagree with that take, Derek, after what we saw on Saturday night. Our buddy Mark Summers says Matt LaFleur being on the staff of two of the biggest ever fourth-quarter playoff collapses should be legacy-defining. The other, of course, would be Super Bowl 51, with the Falcons yakking it away against the New England Patriots. Our friend Sports Wager. We only want to hear from Bear Down Bill Zimmerman, our executive producer. Well, don't you worry, because Bill may be leaving us to go to the Bears game this weekend. That is a true story. We shall see. I can tell you from our text conversation on Saturday night, Bill and the rest of the Bears fans, like Kenny Henderson, in ecstasy following this game on Saturday night. At Sage Shamrock 3485, Matt LaFleur should get the chop. Packers bottled that game. Sounds like a soccer fan. And M. Blazing thinks the Bears might have used AI to change the game plan going into the fourth. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was brilliant from the Chicago Bears. YouTube.com/@thekostos, THEKOSTOS. The Philadelphia Eagles need to trade A.J. Brown, and they need to do it as soon as possible. Now that it's reached its conclusion, because I thought the Eagles were going to win yesterday. I thought that they were going to beat the Bears next weekend if they played. I thought they would beat the Rams in the NFC Championship game and beat the Bills in Super Bowl 60. And even with all of that being said, I thought the Eagles were going to win. This was not exactly a fun season in Philadelphia. And I even described the Eagles' win against the Bills on the first edition of this show in the new time slot on Monday, December 29th, as being the Eagles having this unbelievable ability to win games and infuriate their fan base in the process, despite the fact that they win. So now that it's over, and there's no game next week, and there's the talent on the roster's still there, and Fangio's this great defensive coordinator, and they're the defending champs. Now that there's no game next week, we can say what a disappointing and miserable season this actually was for the Eagles. And it's one thing for a star player like A.J. Brown to be as dramatic as he is, while acknowledging, and hear me out, A.J. Brown is not a good wide receiver. He's a great wide receiver. He's one of the best receivers in the National Football League. Period. No debate. No one's saying he's not great. He's phenomenal. But if you're going to be as dramatic and petulant as he's been, and whether or not he has legitimate reason to feel that way, You have to be a professional and comport yourself in a professional way. And he has not done that. Whether it's passive-aggressive comments to the media like you're dealing with a teenager, or cryptic posts on social media on Instagram like a jilted lover. Like when I used to be involved in relationship heartbreak, and I would post like song quotes on Twitter like an absolute loser. Like A.J. Brown's got all the cryptic stuff on Instagram. Reading self-help books on the sideline during games. Jawing with the head coach. Jawing with the quarterback. You can do that. And you can get away with it. If your team wins. And if you show up in the big spots. Last year, A.J. Brown was dramatic. And he was petulant. And the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So who cares? And my thought most of this season talking about A.J. Brown was, I don't care about any of this stuff because I still think they're going to win. And I have faith that he'll show up in a big spot. And yesterday, against the San Francisco 49ers, he no-showed in the big spot and had a couple different opportunities to make game-changing plays on good throws from Jalen Hurts and was unable to pull them in. Off his hands, to the ground, incomplete. Jawing with his head coach on the sideline, Nick Sirianni. Like, enough of this. Like, what? Doesn't take any questions from the media and bounces after the game. And I'm not trying to turn this into, you have to respect the media. That's not what this is. But it's a pattern of behavior that, again, you can get away with if you play well and if you win. But if you're going to no-show and if your team's going to lose, then what's the point of all of this? Now that it's over, and there's no more games to be played, and there's no more rationalizing it and spinning it forward, we can say that the Philadelphia Eagles are rotten. That the culture is rotten with this team. And if you're going to have designs on getting back to the playoffs next year, winning a third straight NFC East, making a run at another Super Bowl, you got to do something. You got to change the culture a little bit. And he's got to go. He did great. You won your championship, and you can never take down the banner. Never. And all of the nonsense this season was worth it for the Super. All the nonsense will be worth it for another 5 years since you won the one championship. But moving forward, this can't go on. Jalen Hurts isn't going anywhere. You just signed him to the huge deal. He won Super Bowl MVP less than 12 months ago. He's not going anywhere. Nick Sirianni shouldn't be going anywhere, and I don't think he will. He just won the Super Bowl. A.J. Brown's the big move that has to be made. And he'll have no shortage of suitors. Maybe he ends up with his old coach Mike Vrabel in New England next year. Maybe it's Josh Allen and the Bills. We'll see. And he'll probably put up huge numbers. He's great. And whether or not it's his fault that this season didn't go the way he wanted it to, or a lot of people, including me, who bet the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. It went the way he did. It did. He acted the way he did. And that's it. And now he's got to go. And so, too, you bet on this Monday. Nick Kostos here with you on Westwood One Sports. So, too, does Kevin Patullo. When we look back on it, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 15 years from now, I think that we'll look back on the 1 year because there's no way he's coming back. And if he does, there should be a federal investigation as to why. Why Kevin Patullo keeps on as the offensive coordinator of the Eagles. He's going to get fired, and he should be fired. And, I'm not into, calling for people to lose their jobs, but let's be honest. This guy can't come back. He can't with how it went this season. Kevin Patullo has to go. And there's a case to be made. He should have to stand trial. These are crimes, football crimes against humanity. He should have to stand trial before Nicolas Maduro for what the Eagles offense turned into. This bastardized version of an offense. It was offensive. You can't have this. He's got to go. And if you're Howie Roseman, the GM of the Eagles, you're Nick Sirianni, the head coach, I don't know how you're not on the phone with Mike McDaniel right now to try and bring him in as the new offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. You can't have this. So just to sum up the Eagles and their season here. Is it a disaster now that it's over? Now can we say that? Yes. To lose as a big favorite, and how about all that steam on Philadelphia in the betting market? Out from 3.5 to 6. San Fran outright. Unfortunately, closing line value doesn't pay for groceries. Because if it did, let me tell you, my refrigerator would be absolutely stocked. Yes, it's a disaster. But you also won the Super Bowl the year before. So it's worth it. You can deal with it, I believe, if you're an Eagles fan, which I'm not, but just saying. That would be my advice to Eagles fans. You just won. But now changes have to be made. And I believe they will. As for the San Francisco 49ers, I really feel dumb, which is like a fairly normal feeling for me, if I'm being honest. Just being real. I feel like an idiot for looking past the San Francisco 49ers heading into this game. For me, I felt like San Fran's kind of got no chance. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. That they're the walking wounded. The defense doesn't have enough horses. And the Eagles are way more talented. And what we got yesterday in Philly was an absolute masterclass by Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. Consider this. All the excuses that we in the media and that NFL fans in general will make for teams that suffer injuries. George Kittle blew out his Achilles during yesterday's game, which is a horrible injury for what, by all accounts, is one of the good guys in the NFL. That happens during the game. There are a lot of teams and offenses and coaching staffs that would just fold, like you fold in that moment on the road in a spot like that. Losing a player, the heart and soul of your team, one of the hearts and souls of the team, like George Kittle. So Kittle obviously is done for the rest of the year. A 32, who knows when he'll be back. They lost Nick Bosa earlier in the year for the year. Maybe Fred Warner will come back, but they lost him for the vast majority of the season. So with Kittle, Warner, and Bosa, these are 3 Hall of Fame Canton caliber players that the Niners lost. No one makes excuses. They keep on trucking. Keep on winning games. Here's my question for everybody. If you traded Kyle Shanahan for Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo, so Shanahan is coaching the Eagles yesterday and calling the plays for the Eagles, and Sirianni and Patullo are calling the plays and running the offense for the 49ers, who wins the game? Who wins? Kyle Shanahan will beat you with his team, and he can also beat you with your team. And as I think about it, because he's not going to win Coach of the Year. He's not, because they lost in the final game of the season to Seattle. He's not going to win Coach of the Year. He is the Coach of the Year, though. And I'm not saying that he should win the award, just saying, he's the best coach in the NFL this season. Period. And the fact that he doesn't have a Super Bowl, and I don't think he's going to win it this year, again, I think there's too many injuries. And Brock Purdy was terrible in the game yesterday, and they still won. You can make a case that right now, in the history of the National Football League, Kyle Shanahan and Marv Levy are atop the list of best coaches to not win a Super Bowl championship. I put him above Marty Schottenheimer, Dan Reeves, Don Coryell, Bud Grant. It's Shanahan and it's Marv Levy. That's the list. Best coaches to never win a championship. Now, I don't know if the Niners are going to win coming up on Saturday in Seattle against the Seahawks. That will mark 2 weeks to the day that the Seahawks shove them into a locker in Week 18 to win the NFC West and claim home field advantage. But here's what I do know. Seattle's a touchdown favorite. Count out Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers at your own risk. I made that mistake yesterday against the Eagles. I don't think I'm going to make it this weekend, going into Seattle to take on Mike McDonald and the Seahawks. We'll take a quick break here on this magnificent Football Monday, and on the other side, why the Buffalo Bills should be the favorite to win the AFC, and why I think Josh Allen finally gets to his first Super Bowl here on You Better You Bet.
The thing I am adding to the list this week, Alex, something that's kind of bothered me a lot. And it's a phrase that we use in sports way too often. It's the phrase 110%. Go out there and give it 110%. Go out there and give it your all. You know, you hear it all the time. Give it 110%. First of all, guys, that's mathematically impossible. Unless you're my car's gas gauge that one night in college, like, you're not giving it 110%. The people who say 110% are like the same people that say gazillion, you know, or like the people that say 100 and go out and give it 110%. They're the people in the corporate world that like use words like synergy, right? The people that use the phrase go out and give it 110% probably subscribe to all of David Goggins' podcasts. I just think it is time we lay to rest the give it 110%. All right. Okay. Now, look, let's say hypothetically you could actually give it 110%. We work in sports talk radio. We live on hypotheticals, right? Hypothetically, if 110% is attainable, why stop at 110%? Why not give 150%? Why not give 368%? Why not give 971%? Why are we stopping at 110? Who came up with that number? Just give it 100%. Go all out. You cannot give 110%. And if you can, why aren't you giving more?
That would match his career long as 68-yard attempt. Ball's intercepted. The game is over as Cole Bishop gets it off the rebound.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Jim Nantz and Tony Romo with the call yesterday on CBS. We'll get to one of the worst big game NFL broadcasts that I've ever watched with the Bills and the Jaguars yesterday on CBS. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But we need to tell you about our show sponsor at BetMGM, because the pro football playoffs are finally here, and BetMGM's giving you a way to make every snap even bigger. Activate today's Pro Football Odds Boost token on any pro football bet, and if your pick hits, you're looking at an even bigger payout. Simple as that. Download the BetMGM app. Visit BetMGM.com to make it legendary. And as always, please gamble responsibly. So that interception by Cole Bishop in the final minute of the Bills-Jaguars game yesterday in Duval clinched it for the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo wins 27-24. And my handicap of that game was simple. If Josh Allen is Josh Allen, and he puts on the Superman cape, the Bills are going to win. Because while Jacksonville is the better team, and I said it, Jacksonville is a better team overall than Buffalo. Buffalo has the great equalizer. Buffalo has the best quarterback. Buffalo has Josh Allen. And Josh Allen in this game yesterday against Jacksonville was a tough son of a bitch. How many different injuries did he sustain just in the course of that 60-minute football game? Concussion, broken. It's like Kurt Angle in 1996 at the Olympics, winning the gold medal with a broken freaking neck. It's unreal from Josh Allen. Like the Knight from Monty Python, missing a leg, concussion, like a broken arm, doesn't matter. Carries his team over the finish line and carries them to victory. And I'm thinking as I'm watching the game, and the Jaguars take the lead a couple times in the fourth. This was a really good football game, marred by what was just a weird and bad broadcast. And I'm thinking, right, as the camera keeps showing Josh Allen on the bench, as the Jaguars score touchdowns to take the lead in what was a topsy-turvy fourth quarter. It made me think, and I'm not a huge fan of this show. I like the first couple seasons. Like in The Walking Dead, for anyone that's ever watched that show. Like the character Negan, right, who's the guy with the baseball bat. I think he's described his backstory as being like he worked at like a car dealership or something. He was just like a regular person. And then the zombie apocalypse happens, and he looks around and goes, now I'm the baddest guy on the block. Like everybody else is gone, why not me? And it feels to me like this is now Josh Allen. Because, and just jog your mental Rolodex for a second here, you the listener, you the viewer, and think about the games that Josh Allen has lost in the past in the postseason. Most notably, of course, to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, although lost one, obviously, to Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and one to the Texans early on in his career as well, to Deshaun Watson, where in the games against the Chiefs, when Patrick Mahomes would do something sensational and the Chiefs would take the lead, the camera would show Josh Allen on the bench. And look, like he performed more often. He was really good in those games. It's just that I don't think he's as good as Mahomes. And I still think that he's not as good as Mahomes. Who cares? Mahomes isn't in the playoffs and he is. And Allen would have that look on his face. And again, like I would encourage you, the listener and viewer, to form your own opinion here. Do you disagree with what I'm saying right now? Or am I right? That the camera would show Josh Allen and he would have that look on his face like, oh my God. Like, oh bleep, I gotta go out-duel this guy again? Like we're losing again to this guy? And yesterday, every single time the Jaguars would take the lead, Trevor Lawrence would throw a touchdown, we'll get to Trevor Lawrence, the camera would show Josh Allen. And he would be expressionless, emotionless. Like in this moment, as he looks around and surveys the landscape of the American Football Conference, and he doesn't see Joe Burrow, and he doesn't see Lamar Jackson, and most importantly, he doesn't see the boogeyman. Number 15 in red, the final boss, Patrick Mahomes. It's as if he knows in this moment that he's the man. That he is now like a football robot constructed to break your spirit and steal your soul, like this is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Rip your heart out and show it to you still beating. And that's what happened. Was it Josh Allen's most noteworthy statistical game? No, it wasn't. 28 for 35, 273 yards and a touchdown. 11 carries, 33 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's had better statistical games. He's had flashier games. That might be the best game he's played. He was unbelievable. Made every play that needed to be made and carried the Buffalo Bills to their first road playoff win since the 1990s. Incredible. Incredible from Josh Allen. Now this morning, and we'll get to the Patriots and the Chargers as the show moves along, New England is the favorite to win the AFC at BetMGM. Now, a slight favorite, and it makes sense because they'll be a bigger favorite than the Bills are next weekend, right? And the Patriots would host the Bills if they played in the AFC Championship game. The Bills need to be the favorite. And if they're not, I have bet them. I have them at exactas. I told you last week I think they're going to win the AFC. I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl. If they have to run into the Rams, I don't think that'll go well for Buffalo. But yeah, I do think they're going to win the AFC. Because they have Josh Allen. And other teams don't. As of right now, Buffalo is a 1.5-point favorite in Denver this weekend. The 1 seed Denver Broncos, AFC West champion Denver, home field advantage Denver. Denver has Bo Nix. Buffalo has Josh Allen. And I don't care really about anything else. Now, you're out there listening or watching, and you think maybe you're a Broncos fan, a Broncos better, a Patriots fan, a Patriots better, a Steelers fan, a Steelers better, a Texans fan, a Texans better. And you think, well, Bills defense, run defense isn't good. We'll talk about how Jacksonville screwed this up. And he doesn't have any weapons. Whatever. Great. That was the case yesterday also. And they won. Because they have number 17. And y'all pay homage to the man. Woo! Give me the Bills to beat the Broncos in Denver and advance to the AFC Championship game. Hour 1 done. Hour 2 for you coming up on the other side. We'll be joined by Dave Damashek from Football America. We'll keep on breaking down wild card weekends, including what the Jacksonville Jaguars did to screw up the game. Coming up next.
The thing I am adding to the list this week, Alex, something that's kind of bothered me a lot. and it's a phrase that we use in sports way too often. It's the phrase 110%. Go out there and give it a
Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening as you do every day to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Brought to you by BetMGM.
The magnificent Football Monday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and you here on Westwood One Sports. Dave Damashek of Football America will join us in 20 minutes. Dave is one of the absolute best when it comes to breaking down and talking the National Football League. I feel weird saying this because I don't like it. Yinzer is what people call the Pittsburgh sports fans, people from Pittsburgh, the Yinzers. Dave is one of the great Yinzers in the history of Yinzers. And his Steelers today will play the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football. We'll get his opinion on that game, Pittsburgh and Houston, and everything that happened in Wild Card Weekend, the coaching carousel in the NFL. Dave Damashek coming up in 20 minutes here on this Monday on You Better You Bet. And over the balance of the rest of the show, we will continue to break down Wild Card Weekend in the NFL. All the bets for tonight coming up to close the show. Joe Fortenbaugh of ESPN next hour here on this Monday. Ended the first hour talking about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills and why I think the Bills are going to win the AFC. And I felt that way last week. And I bet the Bills in yesterday's game, and it was not without its, anxiety-inducing moments if you bet that game. But Josh Allen got them over the finish line when it mattered the most, and he was Superman in the game. If Josh Allen yesterday was Superman, I don't even know what you would call Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen. They were not superheroes. No. These were bumbling supervillains. Like Doomsday killed Superman in the 1990s. Superman would, of course, come back because Superman can never die because he's a fictional character that makes a lot of money for DC. So Superman's never going to die. But Doomsday killed him. And maybe Bo Nix will be Doomsday. Doubtful. Or Drake May or Matthew Stafford. We shall see. They weren't even like Lex Luthor yesterday. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't even know enough about Superman to know like what curtain jerking jabroni supervillains they would be. But they blew the game. We'll start with Liam Cohen. I don't even know what to say. Liam Cohen had the blueprint to beat the Buffalo Bills. Everyone knows what it is. You run it down their throats, and you keep running it, and you run it, and you run it, and you run it some more. If I had told you before the game, the stat that I'm about to give you is an accurate one. If I had told you, the listener, you, the viewer, that the Jacksonville Jaguars would average 6.7 yards per carry against Buffalo, who do you think would have won the game? Almost 7 yards per carry from the Jaguars offense. I'll bet you would have run over women and children like George Costanza to make the bet on the Jacksonville Jaguars. But Travis Etienne and Bashal Tutin, who looked like prime Fred Taylor on the minimal carries he had, only had a combined 14 carries in the game. Liam Cohen had the blueprint to win and kill Superman and turn into Doomsday, and instead opted to let Trevor Lawrence, who does his best Thor imitation with the long hair, lose the football game for him. That's what happened. This idea, like if a guy who has great hair, maybe it's me, maybe it's not me, and the women love the hair, and the hair makes the man, and he decides, you know what? I'm going to buzz it all off. Why would you do that? You play into your strengths in life and in sports. That's what it's all about. Like, if you work out all the time and you've got great muscles, why would you cover them up? Why would you do that? If you're Jacksonville, why wouldn't you run the ball on every play in the game? Make them prove that they can stop it. Liam Cohen blew the game. And Trevor Lawrence wasn't good enough. And I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan. And you know that if you listen to the show and you watch the show. I am a Trevor Lawrence fan. I bet the Jaguars to win the AFC South before the season. I had Trevor Lawrence in a million fantasy leagues, and he screwed my teams up for the first half of the season and then won some leagues for me down the stretch. I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. This is not meant to be anti-Trevor as far as his career goes. He was not good yesterday. I don't care that he threw 3 touchdowns. He misfired on a bunch of passes, threw 2 critical interceptions, including the one that ended the game for Jacksonville. You're a Jaguars fan or a Jaguars bettor? Yes. Great season. Great first season for Liam Cohen in Duval County. And yeah, future's definitely bright. No question about it. I'm not trying to bury the Jaguars moving forward. But yesterday, you had an opportunity to kill Superman. It was right in front of you to be Doomsday and take down Superman. And instead, you went down with a whimper on an interception to end the game with less than a minute to play. Last note on the Buffalo Bills. So, at the end of the game, when Buffalo scores to take the lead, with under a minute to play, Jacksonville has no timeouts, first and goal from the one. Buffalo, the Jaguars let them score. And I was texting with some friends. I'm like, the Jaguars are going to let them score here. And there are a lot of people, and I think that there's an argument to be made one way or the other here. And I mean that. So I'm not saying that I'm 100% right about this. Like some things I think that I'm 100% right on. I don't think I'm 100% right on this. It's my opinion. People think that the Bills should have kneeled on the ball and killed as much time as possible and then scored a touchdown and basically ended the game and not given the Jaguars a chance for Trevor Lawrence to throw a pick. Given the big leg that Cam Little has, and maybe he bangs one home from 65 to send the game to overtime. I'm very much of the opinion that you cannot assume a score. And a lot of people that I think are really smart and that I really respect believe that Sean McDermott didn't handle it properly. That they should have taken a knee, killed 40 seconds, and ran a couple sneaks from there. And yeah, like maybe they would have scored. I think they probably would have. What happens if you fumble the snap or Allen gets stripped as he's trying to put the ball over the goal line? Like, what if calamity ensues? Like, then what? Then what? Like, you can't assume a touchdown. You can't assume that you're just going to score. You have to score. So I actually think, and I criticize Sean McDermott all the time, I have no problem with Sean McDermott and the Bills. Just take the lead, and then you deal with what happens afterwards. But you have to take the lead. This wasn't like the game was tied, and you're going to go to overtime. You have to score a touchdown. Field goal does nothing for you. You have to score, right? With where you're at. You're down 24-20. You can't kick a field goal to tie the game. You need a touchdown. I had no problem with Sean McDermott and Josh Allen in that moment scoring, and the Jaguars were right to let them score to try and get the football back. You better you bet on this Monday. Nick Kostos here with you on Westwood One Sports. Dave Damashek will join us coming up in a little bit. We have to talk about the broadcast because this was a stellar wild card weekend. I actually think it's the best wild card weekend ever. Now, Wild Card Saturday was better than Wild Card Sunday, and I think Wild Card Saturday 2026 is the best individual wild card day since January 4th, 2003, which was a Sunday, which was Tommy Maddox and the Steelers beating Kelly Holcomb and the Cleveland Browns and Butch Davis and the Cleveland Browns 36-33. And then in what was the worst loss of my fandom in my life, my Giants blowing a 38-14 lead to Jeff Garcia and the San Francisco 49ers, losing 39-38. And in these games, Eagles-Niners, right? Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady, where Tom Brady is just, I mean, you want to talk about making the leap in year two? He made the leap from year one to year two. Year one doesn't play, year two wins a Super Bowl in his pro career. This is kind of a similar leap from Tom Brady from year one to year two as a broadcaster. He is so good. Joe Davis and Greg Olson did a great job on Fox with the Rams-Panthers game on Saturday. Say what you want about Al Michaels returning, and I've said a lot about Al Michaels, and I think he's kind of like, I don't think it's an insult to say he's lost his fastball. He reared back on Saturday night and was throwing 100 during the Packers-Bears game on Amazon Prime. He was great, and he elevated that broadcast. Bills-Jaguars was a classic wild card game. Tremendous sporting event. Tony Romo made it worse. And I don't even want to group Jim Nantz in here, because Jim Nantz is Jim Nantz. And I have to imagine he would never say it. I don't know him personally. Jim Nantz has to be beside himself, having to work with Tony Romo. It's like in Superbad, when Joe, and I won't talk about why he says it, because it's got a little off color, but he uses the line, blank, blank, blank would be like slapping God in the face. What Tony Romo's doing is like slapping the sports gods, fans in the face. And I don't even think this is something that anyone could disagree with. For example, I think Chris Collinsworth is great. Like, I don't think it's an arguable point But I also acknowledge that it's subjective, right? Like, I don't mind putting pineapple on pizza sometimes as long as it's paired with something spicy, right? That's my opinion. You can hear that and say, oh my God, like you're a Fugazi Mediterranean end. Maybe you're right. It's a matter of opinion. Some people like Coke, some people like Sprite, some people like this, some people like that. I think Collinsworth is great. But I can at least respect the opinion of someone that doesn't like his style, for whatever the reason. What is the bull case to be made for Tony Romo being a good broadcaster? Like, does anyone want to make this case? Is this subjective where you can say, I don't like Chris Collinsworth or I don't like Joe Buck? Even if I think you're wrong about that, I can say, okay, it's your opinion. Is the Tony Romo thing an opinion or is this just a fact that he's atrocious? And it seems like he's not prepared, and it seems like he's aloof, and he's talking about weird things, and he's making weird noises, guttural noises. What is that? Starts the game comparing the Jaguars to the Carolina Panthers on Saturday. The Panthers were double-digit dogs. The Jaguars were favored in the game. We're not even talking about the same thing. He will assign the same level of importance to a 3rd and 7 on the opening drive of the game to Josh Allen trying to get the ball across the goal line to win it in the final minute. He's not even close. Like, we're not even in the ballpark here. This isn't an opinion. This is like a fact. You can't argue facts. Like, I'm telling you right now, grass is green, water's wet, the sky is blue. And if you're telling me Tony Romo does a good job, you're telling me water's dry, grass is yellow, and the sky is red. No. He's not close. He's not even in the ballpark. Romo to Collinsworth, please. Aikman, please. Brady, please. Watt, please. Olsen, please. Come on. Come on. Not even close. And it like ruins the game. I can't tell you how many texts I got yesterday from friends of mine in the media and otherwise who were like, oh my, because a lot of people watch Red Zone during the year, and you don't have to sit and watch Tony Romo call a game for 3 hours. What happened here? Romo in 2018, in his first year, was magnificent. And in the AFC Championship game, Patriots-Chiefs, I talked about this last week, which is the Brady beating Mahomes game, right? I think it was, up until last week with Tirico and Collinsworth, Steelers-Ravens, I thought it was the best game broadcast that I have ever watched in my life. Romo, specifically in overtime of Patriots-Chiefs, basically predicting every play the Patriots were going to run. It was unbelievable, right? Remember what you felt like in that moment. Like, this is the new John Madden. And he gets that fat contract from CBS. They still owe him $90 million. There's a term that's used in economics. Like, when I first moved out of my mom's basement, I was 27 years old. That's kind of sad. But listen, you work in sports radio, you do the best you can. I bought an armoire from IKEA. I can't put anything down. I'm not a handyman. I tried, spent like 2 hours. I said, you know what? F it. I think I got high afterwards. I probably took a bong hit. I left it outside for someone to take. Sunk cost. You spent the money. There's nothing to be done about it. You move on. Tony Romo's a sunk cost. Unless he starts putting the work in again. Because by all accounts, he's not. And I don't even know what the argument is against it. CBS has the Super Bowl in a couple years again. They going to let Tony Romo call this game? If this is what it's going to be? This is not a Jim Nantz thing. And I know some people prefer Ian Eagle to Nantz. Some people prefer Nantz. They're both awesome. Nantz is a living legend. We can't have J.J. Watt calling these games or Greg Olsen calling these games if this is what it's going to be. I got nothing against Romo personally. I don't know him. I got nothing against. I wish he were. It would make me happy if he were great. He's not. That's it. What's the opinion otherwise? Who wants to make the case that he's actually good? Who wants to make that case? I don't. And I won't. You Better You Bet on this Monday. Last note for this segment. Dave Damashek will join us on the other side. You know, we had the Matt LaFleur news that broke right before the show that the Packers are going to try to work out an extension with him. And as a result of having to do that, you know, haven't gotten to the Bears part of the Saturday night game against Green Bay. Just want to give some credit to Chicago and Caleb Williams for that performance and that fourth quarter, where the throw by Caleb Williams on 4th and 8 with 5.5 minutes to play, 27-16, Packers leading at the time, is the best throw of the entire season. And I feel like we say this about Caleb Williams a lot, where this throw is now the best throw of the season. It's ridiculous. Like, basically, like shooting a three-pointer without jumping. Like, no time to set his body, no time to, like, use his legs to generate torque and power on the throw. Perfect strike from right to left on your television screen on the near sideline to Roma Dunze for the first down. And if he doesn't make that play, the Packers win the game. And we're not having any of these conversations right now. Caleb was great, and Ben Johnson was brutal in the first half, managing the game. He got it together in the second half, thanks, and the Packers had a lot to do with that. But man, good stuff by Caleb Williams, good stuff by Ben Johnson, great stuff by the Bears, vanquishing their hated rival, the Green Bay Packers. And now, the Bears this weekend will host the LA Rams. And the Rams are 3.5-point favorites right now on the road at BetMGM. I don't know what I want to do as far as the side of the game goes. The total's 51.5. If you're out there listening or watching, and I'm not making a case necessarily for the Bears to pull the upset, but if you don't think the Bears can score on that terrible Rams secondary that Bryce Young lit up on Saturday, you don't know ball. The weather holds up. How is that game not 41-38 one way or another with the Rams and the Bears this weekend? On the other side, my good friend, Dave Damashek from Football America on the Meadowlark Network. Dave Damashek joins the show to talk Steelers-Texans tonight and everything we saw in Wild Card Weekend. Coming up next, You Better You Bet, Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Mike Tirico last week on NBC as the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC North. Our friend Dave Damashek will join us in just a moment. Celebrity fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers ahead of the Steelers Monday Night Football game tonight against the Houston Texans. Shek will join us to talk the Texans and the Steelers and the rest of what we saw on Wild Card Weekend in the NFL. Very much look forward to that. Our friend Joe Fortenbaugh will join us coming up next hour on the show. ESPN sports betting analyst. Joe, one of the best in the business, will get his bets for tonight with the Steelers and the Texans and his early thoughts on the divisional round of the NFL. All of my bets, side total and props for the divisional round in the or for tonight with the Steelers and Texans coming up to close the show in the final hour, the power hour. What's happening off air right now is I mean, this should be something that should be like we should put this on YouTube as a YouTube short. As our friend Dave Damashek, who I think is, I don't know, maybe like 60. It's kind of old. Definitely older than me. Is trying to figure out technology in order to get on the air right now. Mike, do we have Dave Damashek here with us right now? I can see him off air. Shek, can you hear me?
I can hear you, you bum.
Oh,
I'm not 60.
And you sound great.
60.
The microphone is correct. I absolutely love it.
What a bum. How are you, fella? Listen, don't you see I'm living my best life right now? Don't you see that my teams have combined to barely lose a single game so far in this calendar year? The only thing bringing me down is you. Let me just tell your audience how you operate. You're like a second-rate, family-run restaurant. And let me just tell the interaction I had with your hero, Kostos, last night. He said, "Hey, Dave, can you jump in on the show tomorrow to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers? You're a big Steelers fan. What time would be good for you? We got a big 3-6-hour window. I now run digital sports media. I'm the king of all wagertainment. So you call your shot and we'll make it so." And I said, "Well, listen, I'm on the West Coast. I'm 3 hours behind you. How about, since you're on all day, what about nice and breezy, 8 a.m. Pacific Coast time?" And he said, "Well, that's not available. How about instead we do the time I want you to use?" I'm like, "Well, then why'd you even offer me, though? Why'd you give me a array of..." I once went to a restaurant, and the guy comes to the table, and he's like, "What do you want, sir? Do you want the veal or the chicken?" And I said, the chicken, I think, tonight." He said, "We don't have chicken tonight. Veal it is." What are you even offering me? The other, like, would choose your time. Like, well, the only time I have available for you is right now. Anyway, all right. Good to see you. And most importantly, muzzle tough on this new gig. I'm over the moon for you, fella. Nobody deserves it in this business more than you do.
I love how just everyone apparently sounds like the bartender at the Copacabana from Goodfellas. Like, we all just sound like those stereotypical Italians or Mediterraneans possibly imaginable.
What time do you want to come on to my show?
Yeah, you come on at, at 7:20 Pacific time, which you did. And now it's 7:27 a.m. Pacific time. Dave Damashek is our guest. Dave's show is sensational. I've been on it a number of times. Football America for our friends at Meadowlark Media. You can subscribe to his YouTube page, youtube.com/@Football America Show. And he is on social media at Damashek. Shaq, we'll talk about your Pittsburgh Steelers. You are a Yinzer, a celebrity Pittsburgh sports fan. We'll get to the Steelers and the Texans in a little bit. But your biggest story coming out of the games we saw this weekend, Wild Card Weekend and the NFL, is what and why?
It definitely is the ongoing. I mean, the sad thing is obviously the ongoing Justin Herbert in January story. But vainly or otherwise, I have to focus in on something that I foretold really not just all this season, but for the last few seasons, which is that, you can get into the advanced analytics if you want to. But to me, they're two pretty simple things to observe and should guide you next late December as you're trying to assess who's going to the Super Bowl. One, for all of our obsession with name brand guys, and I'm guilty of that as I just invoked the name Justin Herbert, but poor Josh Allen, is he ever going to get his? And Lamar Jackson and all those guys, and Rich Eisen saying, like, boy, these playoffs are going to stink without Patrick Mahomes. You're going to miss him without him being there. We react as a football loving society to, like I say, the brand names. And Josh Allen reminded us of what the difference of having a superhero at the position can make against the Jags on Sunday. But the facts are these. The window to go to the Super Bowl, whether you like it or not, is when you have a quarterback who is the real deal, but he's still on his rookie contract, which is to say, I mean, no rookie quarterback has ever gone to the Super Bowl, although Jaden Daniels has gotten close. And that's a nice little side story to answer your question too. How about the 2024 QB draft class? Is it already entered into the conversation as the best ever? Really think it through. Jaden Daniels is a non-factor this year, but he almost went to a Super Bowl last year. Meantime, 3 of his pals are into the divisional round as we speak here. But seasons 2 through 6 is the sweet spot for teams with for the quarterback. Those teams go to the Super Bowl and win it way more than any other window you can point to. Seasons 2 through 6, 14 of the last 26 Super Bowls have been won by quarterbacks in that window. Outside, that's in the age of Brady and Peyton, mind you. I'm accounting for those guys, and even still, 14 of 26 is nothing to turn your nose up at. And the other one is, obviously, in the age of coin flip games, playing one less is everything. And so the teams with the bye are the teams to look at. The Denver Broncos remain my choice out of the AFC, largely because those 2 factors that I just cited for you are favoring the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix in year 2 and the rest of it. And I think he's going to end up playing his pal Drake May for a trip to the Super Bowl, much like Peyton and Brady did a generation ago. Fun stuff.
Wow, so we got a Patriots-Broncos AFC championship game. I like Buffalo in the AFC because I think they've got the best quarterback, but we will see coming up next week, the Bills at the Denver Broncos. You know, I haven't gotten to Sheck, and You Better You Bet on this Monday. Dave Damashek, our guest from Meadowlark Media. Football America is his show. You should subscribe to it on YouTube. I've been on it. I'm biased. I think the show is great. I haven't talked about the Patriots-Chargers game yet on the show, and because you use the word sad to describe Justin Herbert and the way I think the discourse is going to be about Herbert. I don't think it's sad. I don't think he sucks. He doesn't suck. He's really good, and a lot of teams in the NFL would love to have him. But we don't have to make excuses for him, Sheck. Like, we can tell the truth, and it doesn't have to be sad. He was horrific last night. He was terrible. He did nothing to help his team potentially win the game. I don't care that he doesn't have his offensive lineman. I don't care that they're probably going to fire the offensive coordinator, Greg Roman. Why is it sad what happened to Justin Herbert? He was bad. That's the end. That's it. Period. End of story.
There's something about the quality of the hits and his physical reaction to them. I mean, it seemed late in the fourth quarter, every time he went down, it seemed like he may or may not get back up again. The way he was prone and just completely just about lifeless after every time.
Come on. I don't want to listen. I'm just gonna say this because I know Sheck is a football historian here. Like, I will invoke the name of my favorite quarterback of all time. I'm a Giants fan, Eli Manning, who got the absolute crap kicked out of him in the 2011 NFC Championship game at Candlestick by Justin Smith and the Niners. Like, that's just one example. Like, I'm just
not Jeff Hostetler. Not
Hostetler got the crap kicked out of him by the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 25 and by the Niners also in the NFC Championship game. Just like, why do we have to do? Like, I'm being serious. Herbert's great. I'm not saying he's bad, but why do we have to make these excuses for Justin Herbert? Like, oh, he got hit what quarterback doesn't get hit? He stinks in these big spots, right?
You were going to get no argument from me, Pally. I'm just making the observation that it was, he did seem to be hung out to dry a little bit by the football gods more than by the Chargers organization. I mean, he just had no offensive line. I thought that the Chargers had a chance to survive because of exactly that. The one thing the Patriots haven't shown an ability to do this season is to really consistently heat the QB up. And so that's why I thought the Chargers had a real puncher's chance going into Foxborough. But the big picture that you're getting at, of course, while I respect advanced analytics and people who find sports and football because of a passion for math and analyzing the numbers, and I mean that sincerely, however you come to love the sport, if it's because you love the pageantry and that's what lured you in, whatever it is. But the math people, well-intentioned though they are, get in the way of the drama of what we're watching right now. They want to inadvertently convince you that what all this amounts to is this tournament, the sample sizes are too small to be able to read anything into them and how that impacts how we should regard their overall career. And Justin Herbert is the perfect example of exactly that. Look at the advanced numbers and how great he is and what he's been able to do. It doesn't make a difference, and you don't have to think it's fair or otherwise. This is how history is written. Who comes through in these limited big spots, severe or otherwise, are the enduring legends of the sport. So if you don't do it, and at this point, it's starting to look like Justin Herbert may not ever do it. And by the way, guess what? Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen may never get theirs either. And that goes for Joe Burrow too. Again, people get into this weird sort of, I'm with you too, and I'm not trying to take a hard right turn to be agreeable with you. I mostly agree with exactly what you're saying, that that this weird need for empathy about, like, poor guy, he deserves a better situation, has led us into this place where we're ignoring, like, where we just have to declare to let them off the hook. Don't worry about Lamar Jackson. He'll eventually get a Super Bowl. Will he? The math doesn't work out for all of these high-end QBs to win Lombardis, because you know why, Nick? It's because they give out one a year. They don't give out multiple. They only give out one a year. So the math does not allow for Burrow, Allen, Lamar, Patrick Mahomes. You think he's ever going to get another one? If you do, then that takes one away from all the other available guys who would like to get theirs, and CJ Stroud and Bo Nix and Brock Purdy. There just are not enough Lombardis to go around. So I'm with you, feeling sad for these guys. Like, I don't know if he's ever going to get his. Yeah, guess what? He's going to have company, and that's a good thing, because I hear that's what misery likes.
Oh, misery absolutely loves it. Perhaps, Shaq, I hope this is not the case, because I'm betting on your team, and I think they're going to win tonight.
I know you are. Why am I such a curmudgeon about this? Everybody I've talked to is on your side.
Well, I would say, like, let's say the Steelers were a 3-point favorite, and the Texans are a 3-point road favorite tonight at BetMGM. Like, I wouldn't bet the Steelers laying 3, but they're a 3-point home dog, and the Texans' offensive line stinks, and I don't trust the Texans' offense. So, look, no matter what happens in the game, like, Houston can win 17-0. I think it's a pretty easy button to click, and I live with whatever the result is. Sounds like you're a little more pessimistic. In about 90 seconds, tell me how you see the game playing out tonight with your Steelers hosting the Texans.
Agree with what you said. I think a few days ago, the hook spooks me if you're on the Texan side of things. But, yes, if you hyper focus on, to your point, the Texans, the pass rush and everything else, it's pretty simple math. If you've watched Aaron Rodgers, you don't even have to go back through the entire season, but just look at the last few weeks. Why did they thrive against the Lions, but not against the Browns? But then again, without DK Metcalf against the Ravens, pass rush. Aaron Rodgers is a 42-year-old man. He's aware of his mortality. His priority, whether he is lucid about it or not, is not taking big-time shots. He's looking to avoid those. The Texans do that better than anyone. That scares me. Now, turn it the other way, though, and to your point, the Texans have a terrible offensive line. CJ Stroud is in a real big spot career-wise. He needs to get the stink off himself as well. And that amounts to a certain amount of pressure on Houston. So I think my favorite play of the night is the under here. I'm ultimately going to ride with the Steelers. I don't care if they win, 5-3 or 51 to 50. Just survive.
That won't be the final score.
Let's go up to
5-3.
You don't think so?
I think 5-3 is more likely than 51-50.
More likely. That's where, that's now right at the end there. See where we park our cars in the same garage.
Shaq, you're the best. Football America is a sensational NFL show. Football America Show on YouTube is where you can find it as part of Meadowlark Media, and follow Dave on Twitter at Damashek. Good luck to your Steelers tonight, my friends.
Right at the thank you so much, Pally, and I appreciate the optimistic sort of words that you're floating out into the world there. Save a little bit for the Indiana Hoosiers in the national championship game.
They
and
won't
thank goodness technology didn't completely let us down here. See, we made it work at the last second.
I absolutely
I'll have
love
the veal. Yeah, there's no veal. No veal.
There's no veal.
The chicken it is.
There's a great, if you ever watch the show Faulty Towers, there's a great line, if you don't like duck, you're rather stuck. One of the great British sitcoms of all time on the BBC. Shout out to the great John Cleese. Shaq, appreciate the time. We will catch up with you in the near future. On the other side here on You Better You Bet on this magnificent football Monday. And don't worry, we will get back to all things Wild Card Weekend. Joe Fortenbaugh will join us next hour. All my bets for the Steelers and Texans tonight will close the show. We're going to play some of the best sound for you from the weekend that was, as our friend Kenny Henderson takes center stage. Kenny's Corner, coming up next on a Monday on Westwood One Sports.
Last thing I'll say. Our producer, Brandon Combs, put in the rundown. Will Pat Boyle get a Bears tattoo if the Bears win the Super Bowl like he predicts? Sure. You got a deal. Game on. I will get it. I will get a tattoo. I'll get a tattoo. Whatever Combs wants to do, Brandon.
Where it's gonna go, Pat?
I'll put it on probably on my ass, so nobody sees it.
Okay.
But Brandon, you can draw up this puppy however you want. Whatever tattoo you want to get for me to put on my body, I will do it. If the Bears win the Super Bowl, you have yourself a show bet here on BetMGM tonight. How do you like that?
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Do it live on the air if we can. I'll get a tattoo artist pull up right next to me here. You guys see my cheeks? That's probably not legal, but we'll do the next best thing.
This isn't going to be no Mario Heron tattoo either. You're actually going to get this damn thing done.
Yeah, I'm not a little, pipsqueak sissy like Mario who chickened out of it. I will get the tattoo if the Bears win the Super Bowl. That's a guarantee.
back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
As a reminder to all our listeners and viewers, there is only one YouTube page now where you can watch You Better You Bet. YouTube.com/@thekostos. YouTube.com/@the Kostos, TheKostos. You can follow me on all social platforms as well, @thekostos, TheKostos. The phone number tonight to chime in on Wildcard Weekend, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. We will hear from our friend Kenny Henderson in a moment with Kenny's Corner, but want to get to some YouTube comments, youtube.com/@thekostos. Our friend Kevin Hilmer says the Rams in cold weather coming up this weekend. Puka could have 200 yards, but couldn't ask for a better setup if you are his Chicago Bears. I actually don't disagree with that, and I think everyone knows what I was saying heading into the playoffs was Eagles or Rams, and I'll take the Eagles. I'm clearly wrong about that, given that the Eagles got eliminated yesterday. I think the Rams are probably going to win, but man, the Rams secondary stinks. And I think Chicago is going to be able to score in this game against the LA Rams. I do think it's going to be an interesting handicap. My gut says the over early in the week. We got a couple days to obviously figure it out before the weekend. At Excalibur14 says if Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl, the Predators may drop a spaceship down on the field and take him or perhaps give him a souvenir. Josh Allen does seem a little bit to be alien-like at this moment right now. At Andy B, 2961 on YouTube. I wish the Chargers could have called Grandpa Phillip Rivers. Would have made... honestly, that's the best one. He's 100% right. If Justin Herbert's going to be that, then at least let Phillip Rivers play for the Chargers. Forget about Phillip Rivers. What's Stan Humphries doing? Yeah, like, what can Dan Fouts come out of the broadcast booth and play for the Chargers? At least make it fun, if that's what you're going to get from Justin Herbert. It's a miserable performance last night. And I lost money on it, because I bet the Chargers plus 3.5 at BetMGM. And speaking of BetMGM, the Pro Football Playoffs are finally here, and BetMGM is giving you a way to make every snap even bigger. Activate today's Pro Football Odds Boost token on any pro football bet, and if your bet hits, you're looking at an even bigger payout. Simple as that. Download the BetMGM app, and please gamble responsibly. Joining us right now on the show is our excellent engineer, the great Kenny Henderson, basking in the glory of a Bears win on Saturday against the Green Bay Packers. Kenny, happy Monday. How was your weekend?
Phenomenal. That Bears win has to rank up there as Chicago sports moments of my lifetime. First win since I was 12 years old. Playoff win, I should say.
I like that Kenny is ecstatic about the Bears winning. It still speaks in the monotone. Yes, it was a great. I was very happy on Saturday night when my Bears won the game. I know from our text exchange that Kenny was absolutely positively thrilled with the result. So, my friend, let's get to Kenny's Corner, lay down our Lil Wayne bed here, and hit us with some of the best sound of the weekend. We'll hear from Bill and Tyler here in a moment as well.
We are going to start from the Bills-Jags game yesterday. Jags were losers, but what a season it was for Liam Cohen in his first year. And Lynn Jones of the Jacksonville Press made sure to let Liam know.
I want to tell you congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank you.
You hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
You did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, Kenny, I think everyone knows this, right? That was on social media yesterday that people freaked out over this question. Not a question, but positivity from Lynn Jones to Liam Cohen after the game. And you have a lot of, and I'm kind of morphing into this, so I say this, I don't mean to be insulting, right? But a lot of old timers in the sports media space, especially newspaper beat reporters, etc. Well, this person's not a reporter. This is not what press conferences are for. And those people aren't wrong. It's really not the purpose of a press conference to praise the coach and offer something like that. You do that off camera, not during a press conference. So I certainly understand that, but just the need, and this is my opinion, and curious, Bill, who's an old timer like I am in the media space now, and Tyler, you guys agree or disagree with me on this? Just we don't have to get mad about everything. It's not that big a deal. It's not an indictment on sports journalism as a whole, even though some people want to take it that way. Should she have done it? No. Is it unprofessional? You can certainly make a case that it is. I don't care at all about this story. And we're addressing it, Bill, because a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were mad. I think sometimes it is fake rage. So sometimes I feel like this is like March Madness after Selection Sunday, when people are screaming that BYU didn't get in. They never watched one BYU game. I feel like this is it a little bit. You're like, oh, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Well, it happened. It's fine. Cohen smiled. I thought she was going to bring him a basket of muffins. Like it was like I said, like you said, it wasn't professional really, but it really isn't something we need to get bent out of shape about.
If I could have a number one on the muffin power ranking, I like a corn muffin. Corn would be number one for me. A cornbread muffin, I think they're the best. Tyler, what'd you make of that comment to Liam Cohen? Not a question, but a comment at the press conference.
I had a chocolate chip muffin for breakfast, by the way, which is pretty good. Probably number 2, but I do love a good corn muffin. But It was 19 seconds. Like if it was a minute, like all right, I get it. It's unprofessional. But it was maybe 15 to 19 seconds. I actually thought it was hilarious. He seemed like at least he kind of liked it. At least he wasn't like I wasn't annoyed by the question. Like a lot of fake rage. It was 19 seconds. Don't really think that was that big of a deal. Now if it was a minute, 2 minutes, I understand the rage, but it took like nobody's time up. I thought it was fun.
And it's just like, I think it's people are mad at, because Adam Schefter was the one that like tweeted it. It's like his millions of followers. And he wrote, look at this awesome exchange. People are like, oh, it's not awesome. It's unprofessional. Like, oh, just fine. I don't know. Find something else to get mad at. Like, I don't know. Eat a salad, get on the treadmill, figure it out. Kenny, what's next?
Also in the Bills-Jags game, we had Tony Romo making these sounds.
I'm so
disgusting.
Like, yeah, it's gross. And honestly, when you hear Kenny, when you hear a noise like this, you're supposed to play the audio. We haven't worked that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yet. Yes, that's okay. We'll work our way into something. No, that's okay. We will work ourselves into this rapport as our relationship goes on here on the show. Like honestly, you hear that noise, it sounds like it should be something good. Except it's Tony Romo talking about like, I don't know, like Khalil Shakir gaining 4 yards on 3rd and 7. Now the punt unit's got to come out. I don't understand the whole Romo. Does anyone want to disagree with me on this? That like Romo's just bad. It's not even an argument at this point, right?
I think it's terrible. I think it's difficult to listen to. That's one of those where, you hear people, oh, if Aikman and Buck are on, I'm going to turn the sound off kind of thing. Like, I always think, all right, that's an overreaction. This is actually getting to the point where you'd rather turn it down. Like, you're seeing other broadcasters being like, look, Tom Brady's showing you, like, examples on how to throw in the wind, and we're just getting mouth noises for 3 hours. Like, people are getting bothered.
If we have a little bit of time next hour on the show, we'll play some more sound here. Just been an exceptionally busy Monday with a bunch of breaking news. So thank you very much to Kenny. Kenny's Corner, I think we may be able to sneak some more sound into the final hour of the show. Thank you to Bill. Thank you to Tyler. Final hour, Power Hour is coming up next. All the bets for tonight in the world of sports, especially side total and props, Steelers and Texans. ESPN sports betting analyst Joe Fortenbaugh will join us at 11:20 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll continue breaking down Wild Card Weekend as well. We got to talk about the Rams win over the Panthers on Saturday and the Chargers loss last night to the New England Patriots. And we've got some breaking news in the world of college football that will impact the top of this April's NFL draft. I'll tell you what that news is and explain why it's so important on the other side as the magnificent Football Monday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on right after this on Westwood One Sports.
Last thing I'll say. Our producer, Brandon Combs, put in the rundown. Will Pat Boyle get a Bears tattoo if the Bears win the Super Bowl like he predicts? Sure. You got a deal. Game on. I will get it. I will get a tattoo. I'll get a tattoo. Whatever Combs wants to do, Brandon.
Where it's gonna go, Pat?
Where I'll put it on probably on my ass so nobody sees it.
Okay.
But Brandon, you can draw up this puppy however you want. Whatever tattoo you want to get for me to put on my body, I will do it. If the Bears win the Super Bowl, you have yourself a show bet here on BetMGM tonight. How do you like that?
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Do it live on the air if we can. I'll get a tattoo artist pull up right next to me here. You guys see my cheeks? That's probably not legal, but what's the next best thing?
This isn't going to be no Mario Heron tattoo either. You're actually going to get this damn thing done.
Yeah, I'm not a little, pipsqueak sissy like Mario who chickened out of it. I will get the tattoo if the Bears win the Super Bowl. That's a guarantee.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Kenny. Final hour. Power hour. You better you bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, our incredible crew, and whoever the hell you are. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. Coming up 20 minutes from now, ESPN sports betting analyst, my buddy, Joe Fortenbaugh, will join the show. We'll talk wild card weekends, get Joe's bets for tonight with the Steelers and the Texans, and an early betting preview of divisional weekends in the NFL with yours truly, Nick Kostos and Joe Fortenbaugh, coming up 20 minutes from now. And at the end of the show, all my bets for tonight in the world of sports. We got some breaking news in college football that we'll get to in a moment, but just to recap some of the stories that we've touched on today on the Monday edition of You Better You Bet, following an epic wildcard weekend in the NFL. Started the show talking about the Adam Schefter tweet that the Green Bay Packers are trying to work out a contract extension with head coach Matt LaFleur. This coming off LaFleur coaching one of the worst second halves in the history of the NFL playoffs on Saturday night as the Packers yacked away the wild card game at Soldier Field against their hated rival, the Chicago Bears. And I think this is a good move for the Packers to try and keep Matt LaFleur. Even while acknowledging LaFleur did a brutal job on Saturday night, I never felt like the Packers were a Super Bowl contender this year until they traded for Micah Parsons. And then once Parsons got hurt in Denver not too long ago, I crossed the Packers off the list. Like, that's it for Green Bay. LaFleur is a young offensive mind, a really good offensive play caller. He's not perfect. I don't think he's at like the McVay or Shanahan level, but he's really good. And that's what every team wants, a young offensive mind that can work with a young quarterback. And if LaFleur hit the market, he would get another job. Maybe it'd be with Miami, with his old vice president of player personnel in Green Bay, John Eric Sullivan. Maybe it would be in Tennessee, where he used to be the offensive coordinator prior to becoming the head coach of the Packers, to work with Cam Ward. Or maybe he'd go to Atlanta to work with his old quarterback, Matt Ryan, now the president of football operations for the Falcons. So I like this for Green Bay, trying to keep Matt LaFleur under contract. There is some scuttlebutt right now. There is some smoke out there on social media and otherwise that the Packers might be trying to trade Matt LaFleur to another NFL team. I don't know if that's going to happen. Although I will acknowledge, and I said this to start the show, I don't think it's a lock that LaFleur is coming back to Green Bay. So this is very much a more shall be revealed. We'll see what happens. If I were the Green Bay Packers, I would be trying to keep Matt LaFleur as the head coach in Green Bay. We talked about the Philadelphia Eagles and their pathetic, embarrassing season-ending loss yesterday as a big favorite to the San Francisco 49ers. And yes, it's obvious that the Eagles need to fire overmatched offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo. I kind of think Patullo needs to serve some jail time for how poorly this went. Just a miserable, miserable season for Patullo, a miserable, miserable season for the Eagles offense. And now you have to trade A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown is one of the best receivers in football. But A.J. Brown, and any player really, you can be dramatic and you can cause issues on and off the field. I bring up sometimes the quote from former Arizona Cardinals general manager Steve Keim, who's joking about how the NFL will overlook, red flags with a player's personality or off-field stuff, saying that if Hannibal Lecter ran a 4.3, the NFL would diagnose him with an eating disorder. Now, A.J. Brown's not involved in anything off the field. Like, I'm not trying to equate A.J. Brown with someone who's, engaged in criminal activity. That's not what I'm saying at all. And he is one of the best receivers in football. And if the Eagles do trade him, there will be no shortage of suitors for A.J. Brown, nor should there be. And I'm not even saying A.J. Brown shouldn't be annoyed with how things have gone in Philadelphia, how it went this season with the Philadelphia Eagles offense. But if you're going to be as dramatic as he's been, and as passive-aggressive as he's been, and as immature as he's been, with the cryptic social media posts and the passive-aggressive nature of his dealings with the media, enjoying with the quarterback, enjoying with the head coach, you better make the plays in the big spots when the ball comes your way. And he didn't yesterday in the Eagles' loss to the 49ers. 2 huge opportunities for A.J. Brown, and blew both of them. Dropped both of them. You can do that sort of thing when the team wins and you perform. But when you don't perform and the team loses, something's got to give. You're not going to fire the quarterback who won Super Bowl MVP less than a calendar year ago. You can't fire the head coach. I guess you could. I don't think they will. Who just won a Super Bowl less than 365 days ago. So how do you fix things? You fire the offensive coordinator, and you trade the locker room problem. And A.J. Brown can go somewhere else and be a stud. I'm not saying that can't or won't happen. But come on. A.J. Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles absolutely headed towards a divorce, and they should be. Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, I overlooked them heading into this game, and I regret that. That's a bad job by me. You know, we make excuses all the time for NFL teams, and we'll talk about Justin Herbert coming up in a few moments. We always want to make excuses for players and coaches. San Francisco 49ers don't need your excuses. George Kittle tears his Achilles during the game. Fred Warner's already out. Nick Bosa's already out. No healthy linebackers. Didn't have a lot of their receivers for a lot of the season. Brandon Ayuk hasn't played. Purdy's missed time. Here are the Niners in the divisional round. He won't win Coach of the Year. Kyle Shanahan won't win. I think Mike Vrabel will win. Kyle Shanahan is the Coach of the Year in the NFL, and I won't overlook the Niners again. Kind of like them +7 this weekend on the road in Seattle. And I told you why the Buffalo Bills should be. They're not. But they should be the favorites to win the AFC. The Patriots are a small favorite over Buffalo at BetMGM. The Bills have the great equalizer. Number 17, Josh Allen. The best quarterback standing. No Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow. Now it's Josh Allen. And y'all pay homage to the man. Woo! We do have some breaking news to get to now in the world of sports. We'll talk Chargers-Patriots, and we will get to Rams-Panthers in a few moments. We have this piece of news from Rams head coach Sean McVay, and we watched the game, and I'll do Rams-Panthers here for a few minutes. So the Rams come from behind fashion, beat the Panthers, right? And that would have been like Bears-Packers on Saturday night. Like, great game. Could have a consequence of maybe Matt LaFleur loses his job. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but we'll see. I don't think the Bears or the Packers could win the Super Bowl. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the Bears will win it. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that result will have an impact on who wins the Super Bowl. If the Rams had lost on Saturday afternoon in Carolina, that is a game that could have had an impact on who wins the Super Bowl. Because the Rams, in my estimation at least, are one of the only teams that cannot get there, but actually raise the Lombardi Trophy. And they almost yacked it away. The special teams almost failed them again. And Sean McVay, some of his ridiculous decision-making, while I acknowledge that he is one of the 2 or 3 best coaches in the NFL, he will make some decisions sometimes that leave you scratching your head. Like going forward on 4th and 3, up 17-7 at the end of the first half, getting the ball to start the second half, and the Panthers go and score a touchdown to make it 17-14. Now, if Matthew Stafford doesn't hurt his hands at the end of the first half, maybe the game isn't as close as it was. Maybe Stafford doesn't need the heroics at the end. 7 plays, 71 yards. Go-ahead touchdown to Colby Parkinson. Maybe the Rams just cruise to victory. But Stafford obviously was hurt during this game. And I know that because he went from looking like the MVP in the first half to Nathan Peterman in the second half. The official diagnosis for Matthew Stafford per Rams head coach Sean McVay, sprained right finger. Sean McVay just saying that to the news media in Los Angeles. But McVay adds that Stafford will play against the Bears. Duh. You think the Rams would be favored in the game if Jimmy Garoppolo were playing? I have the BetMGM market up right now. Nothing has happened. We are still Rams 3.5. The total has ticked down 0.5 point from 51.5 to 51. We'll keep you updated during the week and over the course of the show today if anything happens in the betting market. Sprained right finger for Matthew Stafford, but he will play coming up on Sunday against the Chicago Bears per head coach Sean McVay. We can do Patriots-Chargers now for a few minutes as well. And I actually think that you can say the same thing about the Rams as you could about the Patriots. The Rams did not play a clean game. I don't think the Rams were particularly good in the game in the same way And I don't think the Patriots played a clean game. I don't think the Patriots were particularly good last night, at least on offense. Defense was another story for New England. So if you're a Rams fan or a Rams bettor or a Patriots fan and a Patriots bettor, probably feel like you dodged a bullet. My expectation would be that both of those teams, with the MVP candidate quarterbacks, and Stafford was named first-team All-Pro on Saturday, which doesn't mean he'll win MVP. Lamar was first-team All-Pro last year, and Josh Allen famously won MVP. But we think Stafford's probably going to win. Stafford didn't play his best. The Rams didn't play their best. Drake May didn't play his best last night, and the Patriots didn't play their best. And you probably feel like you'll get a better effort from both teams and both quarterbacks in next week's games. And we don't know who the Patriots are going to play yet. The winner of tonight with the Steelers and the Texans. Patriots only scored 16 points. Didn't need to score more than 3 as it turned, or more than 6 as it turned out when they were up 6-3 in the second half of this game. Because Justin Herbert, and I talked about this last hour with Dave Damashek from Football America. Like, Damashek started doing like the whole woe is me thing with Justin Herbert, and like, I'm not interested in it at all. Justin Herbert, like, both things can be true. Herbert's a really good quarterback that the vast majority of teams in the NFL would love to have. That's true. It's also true that he has been a total dud in the postseason after the first half of the first game that he played in when they were up 27-0 against the Jaguars and lost that game to Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Herbert was miserable last year in the wild card round against the Houston Texans, throwing 1 billion interceptions in that game, and he was terrible last night against New England. We don't have to make excuses. We don't have to. We don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be he didn't have his offensive tackles. He didn't have Alton. He didn't have Slater. We don't have to say that. It doesn't have to be that we blame Greg Roman, who I actually think Jim Harbaugh is going to fire. Harbaugh said after the game he's not sure if Roman's the right guy moving forward. Translation, Harbaugh will fire Greg Roman, and there will be a new offensive coordinator next year for the Chargers. You can bet your bottom dollar on that one. That's going to happen. They will fire Greg Roman. I basically guarantee it. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. It's not like Herbert. Like, this wasn't like he threw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns and they lost a nail-biter. Like when the Bills lost to the Chiefs in the 13 seconds game. No one after the game was like, it's Josh Allen's fault they lost. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, Sean McDermott blew the end of the game and Patrick Mahomes was great. And Allen was great in that game. Last night, Justin Herbert was bad and did nothing to help the Chargers win the game. And maybe this is going to be what it is for Justin Herbert. Maybe he's just going to be a bad playoff performer, and he's really good from September to December, and when the calendar flips to January, he turns into a pumpkin and he stinks. And maybe it's not fair to say that. Maybe he'll turn it around. But the facts are the facts. You don't have to let feelings get in the way. You don't have to make excuses for him. You can tell the truth. He's a really good regular season quarterback, and then he gets into the playoffs, and he stinks. End of story. What's the argument to the contrary? I'd love to know what it is. Joe Fortenbaugh will join us next segment, but the piece of breaking news that I've been alluding to emanates from the world of college football, where former Nebraska quarterback and Patrick Mahomes lookalike Dylan Raiola is transferring to Oregon. So Dylan Raiola is going to be the quarterback of the Oregon Ducks coming up next season for Dan Lanning and company, who got embarrassed on Friday night in the Peach Bowl by Indiana and Kurt Cignetti, who are a 7.5-point favorite next week in the national championship game against the Miami Hurricanes at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. So Dylan Raiola will be the next Oregon quarterback, which means Dante Moore is declaring for the NFL draft, which means the Jets at 2, Cardinals at 3. Their antenna goes up a little bit. The ears perk up a little bit. We think Fernando Mendoza is going 1 to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now we know there will be a number 2 quarterback in the NFL draft, because Dylan Raiola ain't going to Oregon if he's sitting behind Dante Moore. Raiola will be the next Oregon quarterback, which means Dante Moore will be playing on Sundays next year in the National Football League. We'll take a quick break. And on the other side, one of my absolute favorites, one of the most talented guys in the business, sports betting or otherwise, and also one of the best dressed. The great Joe Fortenbaugh will join us coming up here on Westwood One Sports. Bets for tonight with the Steelers and Texans, and an early look at the divisional round as well. Joe Fortenbaugh joins Nick Kostos next on You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM.
Last thing I'll say. Our producer, Brandon Combs, put in the rundown. Will Pat Boyle get a Bears tattoo if the Bears win the Super Bowl like he predicts? Sure. You got a deal. Game on. I will get it. I will get a tattoo. I'll get a tattoo. Whatever Combs wants to do, Brandon.
Where it's gonna go, Pat?
Where I'll put it on probably on my ass, so nobody sees it.
Okay.
But Brandon, you can draw up this puppy however you want. Whatever tattoo you want to get for me to put on my body, I will do it. If the Bears win the Super Bowl, you have yourself a show bet here on BetMGM tonight. How do you like that?
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Do it live on the air if we can. I'll get a tattoo artist pull up right next to me here. You guys see my cheeks? That's probably not legal, but what's the next best thing?
This isn't going to be no Mario Heron tattoo either. You're actually going to get this damn thing done.
Yeah, I'm not a little, pipsqueak sissy like Mario who chickened out of it. I will get the tattoo if the Bears win the Super Bowl. That's a guarantee.
Williams throwing, and it's caught for the touchdown by DJ Moore. Forget about the clock. Just take the lead when you can.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
The Chicago Bears, huge comeback on Saturday night against the Green Bay Packers, setting up divisional round Sunday. Oh, baby. The Rams and the Bears at Soldier Field. We just told you, per Rams head coach Sean McVay, sprained right finger for Matthew Stafford on his throwing hand. We saw that at the end of the first half of the Rams' win in Carolina against the Panthers. But Stafford going to be good to go and going to play this weekend. The Rams, 3.5-point road favorites, total of the game, 51. Fascinating betting market, a fascinating divisional weekend coming up, and a fascinating wild card weekend that ends tonight with the Steelers and the Texans in Pittsburgh. And joining us right now to talk about all of it, this is a long time coming. I fancy myself to be a pretty talented person in the sports betting space and the sports content space. I have to be honest. Someone who I also think is massively talented, and you see him all the time on ESPN, and his rise has been amazing to watch. He's on ESPN all the time, and he does an awesome job. And I have to also say, he's very well dressed. Wore like this green velvet jacket. I had to text him about it. Where'd you get this green velvet jacket? Very handsome and talented Joe Fortenbaugh with us now on the show. ESPN sports betting analyst on social media at Joe Fortenbaugh. Joe, welcome to You Better You Bet. Nick Kostos here. How you doing, my friend?
Couple things. Number one, the green velvet jacket. A classless individual, a person with massive ego would be unwilling to share that information. I fancy myself very magnanimous. So when Nick Kostos reaches out asking about the jacket, I immediately send him the information so he can obtain a similar jacket should he so choose. Number two, let me start with a thank you to you guys. You're the only show of the last 5 years who has asked me to come on and promoted me with a picture that isn't peak fatness that everybody else finds from the internet and uses. There's a photo I took in Las Vegas in a
I know
suit.
which one it is that you're talking about, right? You got a big smile on your face, you got like sideburns. I know exactly the picture you're talking about.
Bro, it's peak fatness coming off COVID. It's August 2020. I had moved from San Francisco to Vegas. We were just starting the show back up out there. Peak fatness. Somehow this photo has been the photo that has represented me for 5 years. And when you promoted me coming on today, I saw on social media the photo and I was like, look at these guys. They actually found a reasonable Joe Fortenbaugh photo. Thank you for that. You made my day.
Now, I say this as someone, and I admit this, that I am very vain. And I care very much about my physical appearance. And I'm very open about that, right? I get my hair cut once a week. I work. And I do this not because, like, I want to look good. It's because I'm trying to like fight my crippling insecurities, right? Like I need to look good.
We all are,
so,
yeah.
So as someone who is very vain, I ask you this, and this is not leading you to say that you are, but you clearly take care of yourself, right? I love the wardrobe on TV. What would you say 1 to 10, 10 being most vain? How would you rate yourself on the vanity scale?
Oh, hi. I mean, look, I'm getting up there in age. Every 3 months, your boy's getting shots into the forehead to keep those wrinkles, okay? And let's be very clear.
I have not gotten Botox, not yet. I like that you've progressed to that point.
No, I'm there. And the funny thing is, I don't actually get Botox. I get the other one. I think it's called like Dysport or whatever. I don't actually put the research in to know. But so if people are like, do you get Botox? I go, no. And then they stare at me and I'm like, I just get the other one. I like to mess with them a little bit, but like it's a stone cold forehead. It's very clear that there's no movement going on there. But to be fair about that, if you were not in this industry, if you were not a public figure, would you still care as much about your appearance?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'd probably let it go a little bit more. I'd still be very vain. I probably wouldn't be getting the injections though to that point. But yeah, still very vain. I mean, everything. Like, you know, I'd rather just buy all the lotions and the injections than go out and run a little bit and drop 5 pounds and take some of the weight off the chin. You know what I'm saying? Like, just go put some road work in, son.
I love it, man. And I think everyone knows this, right? Because we all watch sports on television. You're all over the place on ESPN. I see you on Get Up with Greeny. You're doing hits on SportsCenter. Obviously, ESPN Bet. What is your favorite thing out of all the things you do on ESPN and why?
That's a great question because a lot of them can be so different. I've been very lucky to get to work with a lot of different people. Get Up is a lot of fun because the Get Up meeting from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. is where you'll come across more information than you could possibly know what to do with. Everyone's in there just unloading everything they know. A lot of it can't make it to air, but you can watch how Greeny builds a show, how that team builds a show, and then you can be on the set watching them execute the show. I'm kind of a nerd for the industry, so I really do enjoy watching the people that are at the very top of the mountain who have very successful shows. How do they put them together? How do they execute them? So that's what's great about Get Up. I've hosted First Take a few times, where as you look around the table, it's Cam Newton, Ryan Clark, and Stephen A. Smith. And as they're talking, there will be these moments where you just think to yourself, like, what am I doing here? How did this happen? And as you're thinking that, someone will be in your ear saying, it's okay if you want to jump in. And it's like, where the hell am I going to jump in with these three? Like, there is no oxygen for someone like me to get even a sentence in there. You almost have to go to war to get those three to allow you to go to the commercial break. So, like, that's a unique experience. And then when we were doing ESPN Bet Live, we're on hiatus now. We're kind of reimagining the show in the transition from the Penn deal to the DraftKings deal. That's just us getting to do what we love. Like, you and I would be betting sports anyway. So I'm basically taking what I'm already doing in my life, and then I just get to go on TV and talk to people about it. That's incredible. Like, that's the true pinch me moment where I don't think I'll ever get over that.
We did, when you used to work for Covers way back in the day, right? I think when I was at CBS at the time, I might not even been at CBS at the time. This may have been, I was still a producer at Sirius writing for Bleacher Report. I came on your show, right? Which is the Sharp 600 at the time. This has to be at least a decade ago, right? So we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, dude, like, that's the great thing about this is we're in 2026 now. And when I go back to when I was doing sports talk radio in San Francisco, like pre-PASPA, into when the transition happened, like, all the people I used to talk to that would come on this show and talk betting with me, like Kazarian would come on back then. It was before the show started at ESPN, when he was just doing sports betting and doing Sports Center, but wasn't necessarily doing, Daily Wager, which it was back then. You used to be gracious with your time. And you just think back to all the individuals that were doing this, that were grinding at this before it even became legal. And then it did, and so many more people flooded the market, which was great because we all got so many more opportunities. But yeah, it's been fun to watch your growth. Like, you stepped in at Odyssey, and they basically opened up a window here and said, we need something done. And then bang, what's it been, like 7 years now? Like, how many years have you been doing this? And you're
this is year 7. Yeah, in August will be 7 years.
7 years. I knew it. And you get and I'm not joking around with me being on today, but all the people that you have on are all people I follow. They're all people I either know or I've talked to or I respect their opinion. Like, it's great watching this community go in the direction it's gone. And you've done a great job with that with this show. I applaud you for that.
Mutual Admiration Society. I'm a big fan of yours. This is great. I actually will do this again. I hope
we disagree on
how wrong you were on John Cena and his no. Well, now I am, and the audience knows this, I'm also a huge sports media nerd. So we have too much sports stuff to get to. Next time you come on, I want to ask you, because I don't think we'll have enough time now. I'm just going to say that the question will be, give us a fun behind-the-scenes story of maybe it's Greeny, maybe it's someone else, where you're watching a show get put together and it's like, wow, this is one of these great moments. Okay. I think the audience really loves that stuff also. We'll do that next time. You bet on this Monday, Westwood One Sports.
Book me for the downtime. Like, there's downtime. Like, get me on All-Star Week in July, and we'll go off on that.
I was going to say maybe All-Star Week in February for the NBA. We'll see how it goes. Joe Fortenbaugh is our guest, ESPN sports betting analyst on Twitter at Joe Fortenbaugh. You are a Philadelphia Eagles fan, right? Yeah. They lose yesterday to the San Francisco 49ers. I bet the Eagles just had them to win the Super Bowl, just pretty miserable. I opened the show today talking about the game by saying the Eagles need to trade A.J. Brown, and it needs to happen basically as fast as possible. Agree or disagree with that assessment? And where are you at on the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, agree, because the thing is, even when you throw him the ball, he's not making the plays. You're willing to tolerate so much drama and so much headache if the production is in line with that, right? The more someone produces, the more you're willing to tolerate. The less they produce, the easier it is to cut them. Well, He wasn't really making plays yesterday. I love the fact that Sirianni was in his face after that play down the sidelines that went off his hands that he didn't make. It wasn't an easy grab, but it's got to be one of those, and I'm just guessing what Sirianni was saying, but just getting in his face, basically like, hey, man, all year you've been yelling about how you want the ball. There it was. Like, make the play. Be the guy who makes the play if you're going to talk all this junk all year long, because we've all tolerated it all year. Now we need you to hold up your end, which is make the play. So, yeah, I'd be interested in trading him. The game yesterday shouldn't be much of a surprise to any of us with the way they stalled out. Hurts is not progressing as a quarterback. He's good. He's not great. I know there are people that will point to the Super Bowl performance. Well, yeah, Spagnuolo was selling out against the running back. The priority in the Super Bowl last year was not limiting Jalen Hurts. It was limiting Saquon Barkley. And they did that, which opened up the field for Hurts to make plays all over the place. Like, you should be able to produce when you have a top 3 O-line, top 3 wide receiver unit, top 5 tight end, number 1 running back. Like, are we surprised? And then you have an elite defense on top of it. So I tweeted this yesterday. I'm going to throw this to you. If the Eagles fired Nick Sirianni today, how many teams with head coaching vacancies would be calling about getting him in for an interview?
Oh, I think all of them, maybe.
Really?
I don't know if he'd. So how about this? I don't.
Okay.
He would definitely, like, the Browns wouldn't hire Nick Sirianni, or like the Titans wouldn't hire Nick Sirianni. I don't know what job he would. I actually think he would get a lot of it. I mean, look.
Okay.
Obviously, like, this was a bad year. They won the Super Bowl last year. We could say, like, Kellen Moore, great offensive coordinator, Fangio, great defensive coordinator. They also almost won the Super Bowl a couple years ago, also against the Kansas City Chiefs. So, like, I don't. He's not someone that knocks you dead at the press conference. I think I'm probably a bigger Sirianni fan than most. Also, great first name.
It's just the wildest thing that this team has these fluctuations. Like, it feels like a problem we've never really seen before, where it's like, this guy does a ton of winning, but we're not necessarily sure he's that great. You win the Super Bowl, but then you completely fall off a cliff. What's the deal with the quarterback? Like, there was no excuse. I just watched Caleb Williams go to San Francisco and destroy this defense. The Niner defense sucks, and that's because of all the injuries, but they suck. The fact that you had that many issues yesterday at home moving against that lousy defense, and then, of course, at the end of the game when it's like, hey, defense, we're going to need you to just go win this thing. Don't worry, George Kittle's out. Ricky Pearsall's not playing. Trent Williams isn't 100%. You should be fine. Oh, no, wait, we're going to go ahead and let Reed Blankenship make 5 big mistakes. It's a fitting end to a season from a really talented team that was disorganized and sloppy all year long.
10 seconds for this one.
Yeah.
Should Kevin Patullo have to serve jail time for what happened this season with the Eagles offense?
I can't believe he's actually still hired as of right now. I'll leave it at that. 10 seconds. I can't believe he's still hired as of right now.
I mean, for me, it's like who goes on trial first, Maduro or Patullo? I think it's maybe a little bit of a toss-up. All right. Let's spin this forward. Let's talk some bets for divisional weekend in the NFL. We'll close with Monday Night Football. So literally over the course of the last half hour, the Seattle Seahawks have gotten bet. And we are a BetMGM show. Joe does work with DraftKings. We can all talk about this stuff because it's 2026 and it's all good. Seattle at BetMGM right now, Joe, is out to a 7.5-point home favorite. This was 7 like 20 minutes ago. Total in the game is 45.5. I kind of want to bet the Niners after what they did yesterday. Maybe I'm prisoner of the moment. Do you have an initial thought for us, even if there's not a bet in the accounts yet, for the Niners and the Seahawks next weekend?
I mean, as soon as you say 7.5, I'm thinking teaser. I'll take that down to 1.5. I could pair it with Pittsburgh tonight if you want to go ahead and take them up to 9. More on that in a little bit. I'm sure we could find some other angles with whoever the dog is in the Denver game, because I know that was bouncing around at 1.5. You take that up to 7.5 and boom, there's a teaser for you. I would lay it with Seattle. I'm not thrilled at 7.5 to make the play, but like I said, I don't have a ton of faith in the Niners. I think I can live in 2 spaces. Space 1, Shanahan's done a remarkable job with what he's had to work with this year. And space 2, on top of that, Robert Saleh has done a remarkable job with what he's had to work with all the injuries. Now, I'm going to move over to space 2. Despite all that and the easy schedule, this is a major step up in class. I really don't see you competing. Sam Darnold's problem is when you pressure him. Get pressure on Sam Darnold, and you can watch him crack in big spots. The Niners can't pressure. Worst pressure rate since Bosa went down, which was, I believe, back in week 3. So I don't trust the defense to get the stops. It's an awful situation. Aren't they playing on Saturday? Don't they have to make the turnaround of going all the way to the East Coast to play on Sunday and then travel back, Kittle's out. Now you're going to go to Seattle on Sunday and deal with that. I could see Seattle rolling them, and I love the Seattle defense. So, yeah, I would be laying the points there. I'd be looking at it as a teaser as well. Seattle team total, I'd be betting that over too.
And Kyle Shanahan did his best post-game yesterday to be like, hey, NFL, like, maybe you could let us play on Sunday? Nope. Here's Saturday against the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, all the one seeds always play on Saturday. And look, like, he has a case to be made. Just kind of is what it is. Let's stay in the NFC. So McVay said earlier this hour in real time, sprained right finger for Matthew Stafford, but he's going to play. We did see a small move in the betting market off of that news. Total ticks down from 51.5 to 51. The Rams, a 3.5-point road favorite right now at Chicago. Do you have an early thought on this game coming up on Sunday?
The Bears have been giving it to me all season, dude. Like all season, every time I go against the Bears.
Did you have Green Bay on Saturday night? Because I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's Teddy KGB, right? I stick it in you like all year long with this Bears team. What is it now? It's like 7 wins coming from behind in the final 2 minutes. We can put all the analytics out there, all the regression to the mean stuff. They just find ways to get it done. I think right now, the first thought I have in this game is, and this is going to be based on largely on the weather, so we got to keep an eye on that. What's going to be the Bears team total in this game? And I'm going to want to bet the over. That Rams defense, if you look at them over the last month plus of the season, has been a major problem. Like they started the year as a real strength. The last month of the season, look at some of the games where they've gotten torn up. Carolina's put points on them twice. That Arizona game late in the season, they played them twice. Arizona was moving the ball on them in those games. There's a few others as well. I think it was Detroit was one, and I'm blanking on the other, but that defense has not been getting stops. The secondary is really vulnerable. The Bears have been running the ball down everyone's throat. I know there's an O-line injury to keep an eye on, but my first thought with the game would be the Bears team total over. I think they're going to find a way to hang their points. I don't know if I want to lay it with the Rams. It was 4.5. We're down to 3.5. But again, I can see why, because everyone's waiting for this regression to kick in on the Bears. The problem is, how many times can I bet into that and lose before I just take my lickings and move on? So first bet out for me is going to be Bears team total over. They've hit it a lot this year. That offense can score.
I had the ability to Google that while Joe was talking. The other one was the Bijan Robinson and the Falcons beating them on Monday night a couple of weeks ago. I was just making Kirk Cousins turn back the clock in that game. I said the same thing, man. The Rams defense is terrible, specifically the secondary. I think I like the over in the game just period, if it's going to be 51. Bears team total over, a good look as well. To the AFC, and we'll close with Monday Night Football, but two-parter for you here. Who do you like in the Bills-Broncos game early in the week? Buffalo is a 1.5-point road favorite. Total of the game is 46.5. And do you agree with me, as I said earlier in the show, that the Buffalo Bills, not the New England Patriots, the Patriots are favored everywhere to win the AFC right now, and it's not a huge price discrepancy. I think the Bills should be favored to win the AFC. So Bills-Broncos, and who do you think should be the favorite in the conference?
All right. I still think it should be the Patriots just because they're going to be at a strategic advantage with rest at home next week against either the Texans coming outdoors again on the road 2 weeks in a row, or it's going to be against the Steelers, who I don't have a whole lot of faith in. The situation's a lot better for them, which is why I would lean to that. If you're asking me who the best team is, that's going to be Bills. But who should be the favorite? Look to the Patriots. The Broncos game is a fascinating one because kind of like with the Bears, I really like the record, but I really don't trust the quarterback, and the defense has fallen off later in the season. And I'm not sure I trust them to get the job done. We always talk about this in the NBA playoffs, like which team just has the best player. That's where you want to look. Which team has the best player in the series? And this game, the best player is Josh Allen. Like Jacksonville should have won that game yesterday, but they didn't have Allen. Even though McDermott tried to screw it up at the end by running into the end zone when Jacksonville was letting him in, and then he gives them over a minute to come down the field and score, Allen still found a way to overcome all of that. So I don't know if I'm going to be in a rush to bet the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix, because I really did like the way the Buffalo defense looked. Early lean is to Buffalo, but I have done nothing with this game as of yet.
And let's close, my friends, with Monday Night Football. Wild Card Weekend wraps up tonight. Oh, baby, with the Steelers and the Texans on ESPN and ABC. Houston, a 3-point road favorite. Total of the game, 38. How are you betting Pittsburgh? And can I just guess this? I'm gonna guess you like Pittsburgh. It feels like everybody that does this likes Pittsburgh. Maybe not though. What do you like?
Okay. So favorite bet is the under here. I know it's low and I know it's been dropping. Favorite bet's the under. I don't need to say anything on this show about the Houston defense. I'm sure you've said plenty, and the audience is smart enough after listening to you and your guests for a while to understand this is a great defense. The Pittsburgh defense is where things get interesting. Jalen Ramsey moved to safety in week 9. They moved him from corner to safety. I'm going to read some numbers to you. I have them in front of me. First 8 weeks of the season with Ramsey playing corner, the Steelers were 22nd in scoring defense, 24th in efficiency, 24th in EPA. From week 9 on with Ramsey at safety, 13th in scoring, 11th in efficiency, 11th in EPA. They've made some big strides. We haven't necessarily talked about that as much because we talk about Metcalf, Tomlin, and Rodgers when we talk about the Steelers. Defense has gotten better. Dome team coming outside in the cold. Both play at a relatively slow pace, especially Houston. Really like the under. Side, lean to Pittsburgh plus the 3. I haven't done anything with it yet. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if the Houston defense just has one of these Herculean efforts to win the game on their own. So I haven't done anything with the side. Lean Pittsburgh plus the points because it's a low total. I'll rip through some props here. Marquez Valdez-Scantling over 1.5 receptions is like plus 160, over 11.5 receiving yards. Rodgers likes going to his guys. I'd have to imagine with Stingley going after Metcalf, we're going to have an opportunity to get some MVS stuff. So I play those overs. I played the Metcalf under. It's about 55 yards. Chris Boswell over 1.5 field goals. I'd be looking at that too. I think Pittsburgh will move a little bit. I just don't think they're going to end up finding a way to cash in for touchdowns. So that's generally what I'm thinking for tonight. Low scoring game. I think Pittsburgh's in it. I'd look to the 3, but I haven't done anything with the side.
Joe is an absolute stud. And I'm not just talking his physical appearance. An absolute star when it comes to talking about sports. Dude, like you make every show you're on better. I appreciate you. On Twitter at Joe Fortenbaugh. Watch him on ESPN. Good luck with the bets. We'll talk soon. And next time, maybe we'll talk about why you were very wrong about John Cena's final match, my friend.
Okay, nothing to say on that now. We'll get into it. Maybe as we build up to WrestleMania, we'll do a wrestling show. But I love you, Nick. I love the fact that we've known each other for so long and somehow we're still surviving in this business. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Surviving and thriving, my friend. The great Joe Fortenbaugh from ESPN joining us here on You Better You Bet. Joe giving us some bets for Steelers Texans, likes the under. Give us a couple prop bets as well. Absolutely love that. On the other side, my bets for the Steelers and Texans. Thy Royal Prop King. I got a yardage bet that I think is a winner for tonight. Anytime touchdown bet that I can't wait to give out. All my bets for tonight in the world of sports on the other side to wrap up the magnificent Football Monday edition of You Better You Bet here on Westwood One Sports.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
All right, some thank yous to dole out before we wrap up the magnificent Football Monday edition of You Better You Bet with all my bets for tonight for the Steelers and the Texans on Monday Night Football. Two tremendous guests, Dave Damashek from Football America and our friend Joe Fortenbaugh from ESPN. Joe admitted to getting not Botox, but whatever the other thing is in his forehead to get rid of wrinkles. I have, he's a couple years older than me. If it ever comes to the point where I don't need it yet, which is not to insinuate that I won't, I will definitely do that as well. I got a lot of gray in my beard. I've contemplated it just for men. It looks so natural, no one can tell, except everybody. Thanks to our friend Joe Fortenbaugh. Bill Zimmerman is our executive producer, Tyler Morales, our technical director, Kenny Henderson, our engineer, and the tag team of Downtown Mike Brown and Dan the Man Turner making the show look good as our video producers. Coming up after us here on Westwood One Sports, Black and Abdallah, and then it's our friend Jim Rome, and then it's BetMGM Tonight with Brad and Pat. Don't miss any of it here on Westwood One Sports. Two quick college football notes, and then we will get to the bets. Sam Leavitt, former Arizona State quarterback, is going to LSU, and he's expected to be the quarterback for Lane Kiffin next year. Leavitt led Arizona State to the college football playoff last year. Huge get for Lane Kiffin in Baton Rouge. Sam Leavitt going to LSU. We told you earlier this hour, Dylan Raiola going to Oregon, which means Dante Moore will declare for the NFL draft. And in case you missed it over the weekend, Texas, University of Texas, gets Cam Coleman, the Auburn receiver. Huge for Arch Manning. And Arch Manning is going to feel like The Office from season 1 to season 2. Season 1 of The Office, a lot of hype around it, maybe not so great. Season 2, legendary. Arch Manning could very well win the Heisman Trophy next season with Cam Coleman catching passes in Austin. All right, let's get to it. Bets for tonight for Pittsburgh and Houston. Kenny, please drop the dope-ass beat. The pro football playoffs are finally here, and BetMGM is giving you a way to make every snap even bigger. Activate today's Pro Football Odds Boost token on any pro football bet, and if your pick hits, you're looking at an even bigger payout. Simple as that. Download the BetMGM app, and please gamble responsibly. The side and total market for Monday Night Football at BetMGM, Houston, a 3-point road favorite. Total of the game is 38. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. I bet them last week plus 3.5. I told you like a week ago. I don't know if it was last Monday or Wednesday, whatever. But Pittsburgh is the easiest button to click as far as the side goes on Wild Card Weekend. Doesn't mean the Steelers are going to win or cover. But I don't trust the Houston offense. I don't trust the Houston offensive line. If Pittsburgh were laying 3, I wouldn't necessarily lay Pittsburgh. But I'm getting 3 with the Steelers. Oh, hell yeah. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by the way, if that number goes to 2.5, Pittsburgh as a teaser leg up to plus 8.5 is great. So give me Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers to cover and win tonight against the Texans. Couple props to give out. We've seen for years the Pittsburgh Steelers defense can't cover slot receivers. How about captain's son, Christian Kirk, over 22.5 receiving yards for C.J. Stroud. Jalen Noel barely played last week for the Texans. Christian Kirk, over 22.5 receiving yards. Anytime touchdowns, Christian Kirk. And how can we not bet Cam's brother? That's the truth. They're brothers. Connor Hayward, who gets the tush-push reps if the Steelers get it down by the goal line. Christian Kirk, Cam Hayward anytime touchdowns. Christian Kirk over receiving yards. Steelers plus the points and to win. I am off tomorrow. Chris Mack will take the reins here on You Better You Bet. I'll talk to everybody coming up on Wednesday. Until then, I'm Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. Black and Abdallah coming up next here on a Monday. Westwood One Sports.
Normally, you wouldn't go with this position. A lot of people would feature a running back, a wide receiver, maybe a tight end. You can make an argument for any number of guys that were really just sensational this season. But Matthew Stafford, to me, takes the cake as the biggest boom. You look where he was in terms of the ADP data. That stands for average draft position. He was quarterback 25 during the peak draft season in the month of August and early September. He was going around pick number 170.6 overall. And if you recall, in training camp, they brought in that specialized medical bus just for him to figure out his back issues. And everybody's like, Stafford's going to be lucky to even play maybe half this season. This is something that's going to be bulky. This is something that's going to be reoccurring. This is something that's going to sap his year. And he completely defied the odds. Right now in the conversation for NFL MVP between him and Drake May, because the season was redonkulous. He was the second best quarterback in fantasy football this season, actually one spot ahead of Drake May. He was a quarterback 3 with Josh Allen at quarterback 1, but over 4,700 pass yards, a 46-8 touchdown interception ratio at 37 years old. Chances are he was a guy that was probably the quarterback on a lot of championship rosters, because if you was subscribed to, you just wait on a quarterback until later rounds of your fantasy draft, and you scored Matthew Stafford, you're probably loaded up at other positions, at running back, a wide receiver, maybe a tight end. Hopefully those guys stayed healthy. But Stafford was a king of consistency, getting at 20 to 30 fantasy points week in and week out. So again, a guy that was going to the bigger fuzzy hours of your fantasy draft, you probably reluctantly picked him. And you're like, crap. Yeah, Matthew Stafford. Sure, we'll see what he can do. I know he's got a bad back. He's got a back of my 80-year-old grandmother. And he goes out there and has a 46-8 touchdown interception ratio. I mean, it's just insane what he was able to achieve. So my biggest boom goes to the LA Ram and Matthew Stafford.